Hi, Star. Okay, that works. No, he said, what you doing? Not how you doing, girl. What you doing? Hi, Ed. Hanging out in our room.
You sitting in our room?
We about to come up in there. Hello, hello. Hi, Onesie Dunsey. Hello, happy Sunday. Time for the Sunday live. Welcome in, welcome in. Hello. Hello, hello. I'm making the second cup of coffee for the day. Hi, Lauren. Welcome in. Welcome in, welcome in. Hi, Jay. Let me move this so I can actually see. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Yes. Are y'all ready for the week? Hey, Boo. Hi, Sean. Hi, Mary. Welcome in. Happy Sunday. I did get a question from last week from Bay. Hopefully they join while I'm on. Baby, will you come drink this down a little bit? Hi, Perpy. Welcome in. Welcome in. Hi, Cole. I feel like I said that right. Hello. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the likes.
I'll be yelling now.
Gang, gang. Do you gang bang? I'll be outside with my gang, gang.
I don't know what to do this shit on live, cuz.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Kendria. Hi, Victoria. Welcome in, y'all. Happy Sunday. I hope Bay joins because Bay sent me a question about Chris Brown onto the live question thing. And so I want to respond. But either way, I will post it to YouTube if she doesn't join. Hi, Play. Welcome in, welcome in. Oh, I was going to wait and just throw the other one, but thank you, baby. How's everyone's Sunday? Hi, Kerlin. Hi, Miriam. Hi, Famata. I think I might have said that wrong. Correct me phonetically, please. Hey, Miriam. I'm making a batch of coffee right now, and then we're going to get into the conversation for today. I'm happy to let the conversation go wherever it needs to go. I know that last time we spent some time talking about Ayesha Curry as I was hopping off live. Hi, Ann. But I did get a question on the Sunday live request form. Someone, Bay asked me to talk about Chris Brown. Hi, Kerlin. Welcome in. Welcome in. Hi, Angie. And so I do want to chat about that. Hi, Christina. Oh, hi, Annabelle. She's curious. I have to pull up the actual question. But I guess Glorilla did like a feature. Hey, Lynn. Great live. Happy Sunday to you, too. I guess Glorilla did some sort of feature with Chris Brown. And so Bay was curious about my thoughts. Of course, y'all, if you don't follow Lynn, as told by Ginger in here, she does do debate talks. So I know people have feels about that, but Ann says hi, baby.
What's up?
But Lynn does a good job on her debate talks. Some people's debate talks are chaotic. But Lynn did a great job moderating her debate talk. So you should follow her.
Yes.
We had a really rich conversation earlier. You know, some people get where they need to get. Not everybody does.
Oh, you're welcome. Anytime. Thank you for today.
Will you put a little bit of water in this picture?
Water? Put water in yours?
Just a smidge, yeah.
I thought it should be.
Don't try to, don't do that. My coffee be good.
I didn't say that.
You was about to try to talk shit.
No, I wasn't.
But yeah, so the good apple, exactly, Lynn. But she wanted to know, so I guess Glorilla did like a feature with Chris Brown or something. And so people were curious, or Bay was curious, like, does that mean, or could it mean, hi, Ron, could it mean that Glorilla, when she took those shots at Meg, I'm doing quotations because I don't presume to know her intention by it, but took those shots at Meg when she posted Tory Lanez song. Do I think that that was maybe a little bit more intentional than what she said it was? Thank you, Lynn. I will say, hi Flowers. Hello, hello. And then she asked about like why does Chris Brown, hi Zenobia, why does Chris Brown like have such a hold on Black community? Like she wanted to invite this conversation into the space. I do want to do a panel today, y'all. Like I really want us to get there. So hi Sylvia, thank you so much for the heart me. Hi P12, hi Tia, hi Flester, all the folks joining. Welcome in, welcome in. Hi Sunshine. Also, y'all, if I say your name wrong, please always phonetically correct me in the comments. I like to say your names right. Hi, Queen. Hi, B. If I'm calling you something and you're like, oh, actually, my name is this, I'm happy for you to drop it and me to say whatever your name actually is. Hi, Mika. Hi, Ampi. Okay, so here's the thing. I don't know that I think that Chris Brown has like a stronghold on Black community in general. Is that a true statement? I don't know if I think he has a stronghold on Black, hi Volant, hi Jazz, on Black community in general. I think that it's very easy. Exactly, Sylvia. Exactly. I think that the stronghold is on lots of communities. Hi, Curlin. Thank you so much for the roses. I think that we need to be honest about the fact that part of what allows people to, and listen, if you are a Chris Brown fan in here, you may not like the things that I say, but that's okay. We can listen to things that make us uncomfortable. Okay. Like I'm not making a judgment about you. Okay. But I think that it's very easy to excuse certain things. Right. And I know that, we live under a society and in a culture that, thank you so much, Lynn. Hi, Miss Tater Cakes. We live in a culture that prioritizes exactly. Perpy. He sells out in Europe and South Africa. It's the talent, not the person. So here's what I'm going to say. No, I haven't started it yet. Just hit start, baby. Oh. I will say this about Chris Brown, and this is going to sound shady. I'm just going to own that, okay? The man is putting out albums with like 30 plus songs on the album. One of them better be fucking good. One of them better be fucking good. But I want people to be honest. Are you listening to his discography from front to back? I think a lot of people get caught up in nostalgia. Hi, India. A lot of people get caught up in nostalgia, right? Like I have people that are in my community, that are in my life, right? That are fans. Hi, Boo. I have people that went to Breezy Bowl, right? And a lot of them, it's because they think he's attractive. They grew up liking him as kids, right? There's a level of nostalgia that comes into play. And no, I'm not trying to be shady. I'm just being honest, okay, about this part of it. But listen, people stay in shitty relationships with people that they actually fucking know. You know what I mean? They stay in shitty relationships with people that they actually fucking know. So it is a lot easier to separate yourself, for some people, from people's behaviors that don't directly impact you, right? People break up with the person. People break up with the person, right? Same, Miriam. And I'll own that. Like I used to listen to Chris Brown. I used to be a Chris Brown fan, but y'all know that I raised my kids in a very particular type of way. And so I used to talk to them about these groups that they listened to that were appropriating. My kids used to be into K-pop, really heavy. They still listen to some K-pop. And one of my kids called me out and was like, well, why do you listen to Chris Brown? And I was like, fair. You're right. And just stopped. You know what I mean? Like, you're absolutely fucking right. You know, how am I teaching you to like hold certain things and like not practicing it myself? You know what I mean? So hello, quiet thoughts. Hi, mindful as fuck. So listen, I think a lot of people, it's nostalgia, right? It has to do with like when you leave a relationship and you're like, oh, you knew the relationship was a terrible romantic relationship, but when you leave it, all of a sudden, all you can remember are the good things. Then it's like, oh, this person was so great. I love them so much. Oh, all the good times we had together. And it's like, yeah, but baby, you also left for a reason. Right? And so people get hooked into the nostalgia of it. They want to, it's easier, right? It's easier in our brain if we can say this person is this thing so that I can continue to enjoy it, because it's uncomfortable to have to give up things, or to have to wrestle with the fact that like, maybe it's not. Maybe it means something to put my money and my streams behind this in a way that like feels uncomfortable. Oh, I'm walking looking for something that's in my pocket. That's the ADHD, y'all. But like, that's uncomfortable, right? To have to wrestle with the fact that like, maybe it means something for me to, thank you, baby, for me to, can y'all hear me? Because I just took out my AirPods and I know it might take a minute to switch over.
We're going upstairs, right?
Oh my God, that's so hot. Yeah. Okay, good. Like that's hard to wrestle with. It's hard to wrestle with the fact that it might mean something about you. You know what I mean? And listen, I'm not passing judgment because I just told y'all I was listening to the man too until
It's been some years now.
Yeah, but it was like when we were still living in Texas, so it had to be like 2019, 2020 maybe.
Somewhere around there. Yeah.
Right? And I wasn't like a fan, but that's because I'm really not a fan of like anybody except for maybe like Kehlani, Janae. Like I will listen to their albums like front to back. Oh, Chris Brown is who we're talking about, Emirates. So I'm not passing judgment, right? I'm just saying that it can be easy to decide that we're going to separate people from certain things because that feels more comfortable, right? And so, and to have to reconcile with, oh, what might it mean about me to choose to engage with this person's artistry despite what I know about them, right? And so I think it's okay to say, yeah, like, I think it's okay to say, like, yeah, I wasn't, like, downloading his music or, like, listening to his discography from, like, front to back. But, like, if something played, I wouldn't necessarily, like, change the channel or be like, oh, I'm going to turn this off. Like, that wouldn't be my reaction all the time. In the past, it is now, but it wasn't always, right? So this is not about me judging, but this is about us having the conversation around, like, why might people find themselves able to maneuver around it. Exactly. People do it with R. Kelly. My mom is still listening to R. Kelly. I have a very vivid memory of my stepmother. She was a big R. Kelly fan, or is it still a big R. Kelly fan? I don't know. Right. But I have a very vivid memory of her basically saying in so many words, like, she didn't give a fuck what he did to them kids because she liked him and he was fine. Like, I have a very vivid memory of her saying that and being like, I don't give a fuck. And I think this was about the time, Sakura Bay, we're actually talking about Chris Brown, but how people also do the same things they do with Chris Brown in order to make sense of like being fans of him, how people do it with also R. Kelly at this point in the conversation, right? So like, oh, careful, baby.
Shit.
We're migrating upstairs, y'all. And this was around when the video had come out. So I was a very young girl when this happened. I had been like elementary, middle school. Like I was relatively young listening to her make this statement as a young, you know what I mean? So like, and people do like to separate the artist from the artistry, but it's like, I think I had to reconcile with like, what are my politics, right? Whatever anybody else is doing, like, what are my own politics? And I think a lot of people don't have that, what's the word? Maybe level of insight or, I know Emirates, exactly. A lot of people don't have that level of like reflection. Like that takes a lot to look at yourself and to say, okay, what are my politics and what might that mean I have to give up? What might that mean I'd have to be willing to sacrifice in order to align with what I'm saying my politics are, right? So it's easier to just go along to get along, right? It's easier to...
Is that good or hot?
Yeah, that's good. Thank you, baby. And that's true too, as so by Ginger, right? And so for me, it's like, I had to do the work of like, what are my own politics, right? And so, yeah, I'm not watching Weinstein or whatever that guy's shit is. I'm not listening to R. Kelly. When I find out about something, I literally will delete people like they do not exist at all in my brain anymore. You know what I mean? Like, but you have to decide, hi boo. You have to decide what your politics are. And I think a lot of people have not done that. A lot of people that I think are fans of Chris Brown maybe don't have strong politics or don't have strong opinions about those things, right? And so they allow themselves to just get hooked into the nostalgia of it and whatever good memories are attached to it and, you know, their crush or whatever it is, right? Whatever's motivating them, that is easier to lean into than to, exactly, Sakura, that is easier to lean into that than it is to have to reconcile with what it might mean for you to still be willing to engage with content like that, right? And I'm not even saying, am I saying it means something about you? I mean, I think to some extent, right? Yeah. And Perpy, I hope that what it is it's about the continued misconduct, right? But I think that's what it is, Perpy, is people say, oh, he did this when he was 17. And they don't look at, there are people that have done the work of compiling the list of like, he has literally had something happen every year or every other year since it fucking happened. Like, I think the 1 year, there's a creator, I feel like on here that did it. There was like 1 year, I think it was like during the pandemic, where like he didn't have a case for some level of assault. But every other fucking year since that shit happened, something has happened. He has been in court about some level of assault, some level of violence toward a person, right? Whether it's a woman or a man, right? And it's like people want to get stuck on that one thing, but like, and I think we normalize certain things too, right? You're listening to this man sing about Karuchi. Like this woman didn't have to go get a whole fucking protection order against this man. Like that's actually not romantic. That's actually not romantic, right?
It's beyond his anger issues, yes, but it's beyond that.
It's not even just anger, it's like control, right? As well. Hi, Nikita. People think that his only victim is Rihanna, and it's way worse than that. Absolutely. And so I think that people also, here's the thing, I don't know if there are new fans, because again, I'm super disconnected at this point. Hi, Jay Monet. Hi, Brunch Bay. I am very disconnected. I'm not gonna lie and act like I know what the fan base looks like at this point, because I fucking don't. But I would say if there are new fans, then my presumption would be that they're so disconnected from some of those things, right? For example, I didn't have strong opinions about R. Kelly until I became an adult, because a lot of shit was happening when I was a kid, and nobody in my life was contextualizing for me what the fuck was going on. Nobody was having that conversation with me, so I didn't know what that meant. I knew the rumors about him and Aaliyah, but I didn't know what any of that meant. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a kid. I'm in elementary school when this is happening. So nobody was having those conversations with me, right? And so I would presume that the younger generation that might be fans, they either grew up in households where the parents were fans, right? And so there was no conversation, or they were just so young that they couldn't really conceptualize what was going on, and nobody ever had that conversation with them. And if we're honest, a lot of the things that have happened since Rihanna have been a lot more quiet, right? Because it was not, I hate to, I'm not trying to like compare trauma. That's not what I'm doing here, right? But we have to remember that what happened with Rihanna, hi Rye, what happened with Rihanna was so big. She was like a global superstar at the time. And what he did was so violent that it's like everything underneath that is like, oh, like that's just happening. Or, you know, that's like people don't see it as big of a deal. And I think if one lesson he did learn, it was to do it to the stylist, Karuchi. It was to do it to the people that people are not having. I mean, maybe August might have been the next closest, like really big person that something happened with him, right? But it was to do it to nobodies. And this goes back to my conversation that I've had with y'all before about Glorilla and Meg and Glorilla and her makeup artist and even me, right? People want to align with the people that they perceive as being trustworthy. And a lot of times people will give trust to someone simply because they have a certain level of power. And wealth is power. Celebrity is power, right? So when Glorilla got on the internet acting an ass behind her makeup artist, nobody gave a fuck. Very few people gave a fuck. Like, very few people gave a fuck, right? But when she did what she did with Meg, because Meg has more star power than her, people were like, oh, bitch, you tripping, right? When it comes to Chris Brown, what he did to Rihanna had a big public response because of who she was. But now he's doing it, or, you know, had been doing it to people with less star power, less wealth, less access. So people immediately want to align with him. That is just the way that we are cultured in the United States. That's the way that we're cultured here. The person with more power, with more money, with more whatever, who is white, who is lighter skinned, whatever, they are more automatically more trustworthy in the United States. Right? And so people want to align with that. And it's not even always conscious. A lot of times it's subconscious, right? I think also like people in other countries, I think they would have a really hard time. And again, I'm not from another country, so I am assuming, right? I think they would have a really hard time knowing all of the things that we have access to and know in the United States. Like, I don't know how their tabloids work. I don't know how their rumor mill, right? We got US Magazine, we got National Enquirer, we got Gossip, we got the Shade Room, we got, like, we feed off of fucking gossip over here, right? Like, we have whole industries that exist to do that. I'm not really sure that they're talking about us over there like that, you know? So I almost understand them more having like a love for him than I do maybe people here in the US who do get access to that information more easily. They talking about they people. Like, we're not the center of their worlds, I would imagine. You know what I mean? Like, we're not the celebrities that they would be gossiping about, I would imagine.
No, that stuff is like small time, like news, if you will. Like, as far as like, just like other countries, we don't hear about what's going on
Right.
there every day shit unless it's like some big tragic shit. Just like, they don't hear about our shit unless it's like some big tragic shit, like a school thing or a.
They probably don't even hear all about all of that because that's too frequent at this point.
Right.
It ain't Colin no more. Hi, Lacey.
Right. Or it ain't no. So. Yeah,
hi, Bricks.
And then, just like how America is glorified in a lot of countries, the celebs are even on the same level of that glorification.
Yeah. Okay, so Raya is saying probably depends on proximity to the U.S. I agree. I'm from the Bahamas, and since we're so close, people consume a lot of U.S. news. That makes sense to me, right?
That makes sense.
I can understand that completely, right? I do think, again, y'all, I don't think it's because he's just uber talented. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think Chris Brown, no, like maybe this is shady. I was gonna say no shade, but like maybe it is shady. Like, he's been making the same song for like the last 20 years at this point, right? And it's not that it's not a bop, but it is the same one. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same one. And if you're putting 35 songs onto an album, yeah, one should be good, right? But I just want people to be honest that they're probably not bumping from front to back every single album that he's put out in a really long time. And that a lot of it is about nostalgia. A lot of it is about what they've loved about him. Right. And so they cling to that. Right. No different than people that cling to relationships where it's like, that person's not really shit, but you have all this history together. Right. And so he conjures up memories, I think, of good things for them. And they think he's cute. He's conventionally attractive, because a lot of his fan base is women. Right. They think he's attractive. They think he's cute. Right. Doesn't matter that he is colorist. Doesn't matter that, Sakura, yes, exactly, right? So I know I sound like I'm being shady, y'all. I can own that. I can hold that. I can own that. But I just want us to be honest, right? And again, I don't keep up because once I disconnect from a person, I am disconnected. But like, is he winning awards for his artistry at this point? And I'm not saying that that's the complete measurement. I just want to say, is he even on the radar? Well, Sakura, I've never been a light bright girly, like, even because I am a light bright. So I've always liked, not that I haven't dated light bright people. I've dated white people. I've dated fucking, okay, so no. We're talking about Chris Brown. Like, it's not that I don't date them, but my attraction is to, well, y'all see what Chris look like. Darker skinned men. So even when I was a young girl and he was like popping, he was a little too soft for me. That was not what I found attractive as a young girl. So yeah, I think a lot of it, again, y'all, this is my opinion, right? Is that a lot of it is nostalgia. A lot of it is the fact that people have no problem in, am I going to say this? I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. I think also, you know, a lot of it is like people have a harder time. He looks too much like your dad's side of the family. Okay, Breezy won a Grammy this year. What is Breezy? Is that his album?
That's his name.
I know that. I'm saying, she said, are you just saying like him as a person won a Grammy? I'm sorry. Lady Russell hat. I'm literally fighting demons as I step away from my CB fandom. His voice does something to me. Listen, there are artists out there that sound just like Chris Brown that are not him. I will have to. I sometimes will be.
That sing way better than Chris.
Well, she likes his voice in particular.
I know, but I'm just saying.
But I will say, but like I sometimes there's this one artist. Who is it? It's not Chase Shakur. No, it's somebody else that I have to like.
Also an actor.
I literally have to like look at my phone and make sure it's like not playing a Chris Brown song like on my Apple Music when it's like playing. I'd be like, wait a minute, who the fuck? But it's never him. It's whoever this other guy is.
Damn. I'll figure it out.
My husband is gonna look it up. My husband's gonna look it up. And listen, Lady Russell had, like I said, I would occasionally listen, like if a bop came on the radio or whatever, and I'm like, oh, that's good, and it was Chris Brown. I wasn't immediately changing the station. You know what I mean? Hi, Bentberry. That's an active choice in the last 5-6 years for me to be like, okay, I'm intentionally not listening to him, right? I also wasn't necessarily like downloading and streaming his albums, but y'all know how I do about celebs in general. I typically don't do that in general. Except probably Kehlani, I'm not gonna lie. I will for Kehlani. I will for Janae, even though, listen, a lot of my... So Janae is a great example of how nostalgia gets in the way when it comes to me, right? Because y'all know that I went to elementary school with Janae. So part of it is like, I want to like support this person that, you know, I had a relationship with, that I know that she's been like working hard to like, you know, accomplish things for a really long time. I want what's great for her. And she's super male centered if we're going to keep it a buck. She collabing with CB all the time. Yes, Janae Aiko. She's collabing with CB too much. Right? She's super, I mean, do we listen to, and I like Big Sean's music, at least his older stuff. Anyway, let me not get into all of that, but yeah. Because I'm just like, are we listening to what Big Sean is saying about like, oh, I don't want to marry her because like that's such a big commitment, but you're having a child with this person? Is having a kid less of a commitment than marrying the person? And she let him, like, so like, yeah, I can also be honest, right, about how it's like, there are people that like, I might be like, yeah, you know, I don't really fuck with that. You know what I'm saying? But I might still listen to them, right? But she's not harming anybody other than like herself. Y'all, when I hear No Air, I flash back to my big ID days. Listen, it's the nostalgia. It's the nostalgia. Listen, and here's the thing. It's like, listen, if your faves live long enough, they will always probably reveal something that's like, oh, I can't fuck with that. You know what I mean? Unpopular opinion, maybe. I don't know, because I've never talked about him in this live before. But I feel that way about Nipsey Hussle.
Oh, you about to start some shit now. You better go.
I feel that way about Nipsey Hussle, and I'm an LA girly, so of course I want to root for the LA guy. Of course I do. Hi, Miss Boss Up. Of course I do. Of course I want to be like, yes, and I love me some. My son loves Nipsey Hussle. My husband loves Nipsey Hussle. I like Nipsey too. And if he had lived longer, he would have absolutely done some shit that would have made people be like, I'm not fucking with him, right? He already had the comments, the little homophobic comments, not too long before he went out. He tried to clean that up. But then we all know that he was getting ready to collaborate with the police. So had he stayed alive long enough, niggas would have stopped fucking with him too. If your faves live long enough, there will likely be something that gets revealed that makes you be like, damn, they're a human. And so that goes back to like where you are with your fandom. Hi, bae. I was literally just answering your question, bae, about Chris Brown. So like if your faves live long enough, something likely will be revealed about them. And that just, again, goes back to, like I said, right, how you choose to navigate as a fan. What are your lines? And this goes back to why people maybe still do participate in engagement with Chris Brown, because it's like maybe they don't know where their line is. Like maybe they haven't defined that for themselves, you know. They haven't really done the work of like, well, what are my politics? What do I want to align with? Where do I want to spend my money? Where do I want to put my support, right? Listen, I won't even recommend people for jobs if you're my friend. I don't give a fuck, because I'm not about to, well, it depends on the friend, right? But that's the point. I'm not going to let my name be attached to something and I don't know what it's going to look like on the outcome. So why am I willing to attach my dollars to something, right? If I'm like, I don't really align with that. And so I think those are the questions that people have to ask themselves, right? But I don't think it's about, I really think it's about a lot of nostalgia for people. I think it's about people not having, I wish CB wasn't abusive. We could have had a lifetime together. It is Jordan Sparks' song, Emirates. I feel that, Sakura Bay. So it's like, yeah, you have to figure out where your lines are as a fan. What are the things that you are and are not going to align with? And what are you and what aren't you willing to make allowances around? What's going to be your base? How do you want to engage in the world? Because y'all, that should also dictate how you engage with media. That should dictate what you support. That should dictate how you engage with your money as well. You know, there are some people, somebody was talking about it, I think on TikTok. They were like, people say they don't vote, but y'all go out and spend money, and you're voting with your dollars every single day. You are making a choice with your money every single day to say where your values lie, right? And I'm not saying that we have to be, that there can't be nuance in the conversation. Y'all know that I'm never saying that. I'm never saying that, right? Like even the boycotts, all the things. I understand that some people, the Walmart is the only thing that you fucking got in your neighborhood. I'm not like an absolutist. I don't function like that. You know what I mean? And if you have choices, make them. And if you have choices and you're making certain choices, they should be conscious. Clock it, Lady Russell Hat. Diane Keaton just passed away. I loved the First Wives Club. Don't ask me why I loved the First Wives Club as a kid. Because I think that shit came out in like the early 90s. So I was like in elementary school and I used to watch that shit on repeat. I just love, from a childhood, I love seeing a girl get a man. I just loved watching them get them men back. I loved that shit. I was here for it, like, yeah, get them motherfuckers. You know what I mean? As a kid, I've always loved that movie. And I ain't gonna be doing no goodbye, RIP, none of that shit. Because girl, you publicly and proudly supported a whole predator. No, babe. No, babe. I can't do it. Felicia Rashad, sorry, sis. Because you could have said nothing. So when you're making a choice to say something, I'm sorry, then that means something about you. Because you also always have the choice to say nothing. You have to say shit about Bill. Hi, Hagatha. It was. You didn't have to say shit about his ass. Or, shit. And Felicia, I'm sorry, girl. Felicia, you have been in this industry for too long. I know that you're PR trained or have access to be. So you also could have given us a much more PR appropriate answer as well. Being outright supportive of people, that's a choice. That's a choice, right? And so I think that we all have to be accountable for the choices that we make, even if we change our minds later. Y'all, can we get to 15K so we can open up this panel? I know it's not as many of y'all in here as usual, so I'm gonna do a smaller number because I want to do a panel today. Okay, babe, did I miss anything? I know you only heard some of it. Did I miss any part of your question? Diane was a supporter of Woody Allen. Kismet. Thank you for the likes. Hi, EXO. Hi, Yuri. Thank you, y'all, for the likes. Yes, we are quickly climbing. Let's do it. Hi, Mika. Yeah, she was a supporter of Woody Allen, who we know was a predator. I mean, you could Google the man, right? Very gross decisions. Okay. I know TikTok ain't shit. It's been hating on me with my views. Hi, Mika. I'm happy to see you. It's been hating on me with my views. It won't push me to the algorithm. Now, I know if I got on here and started talking about them Love Islanders, it would be like, oh. But I don't have nothing to say about them. I will say, actually, that's not true, y'all. I was on Threads and saw a video came across my timeline of Jeremiah at some charity event with Hubcap. I am watching Love is Blind. I know Emirates is hating on me. Oh, I seen Iris and yeah, reality games drama. I did not see EJ's costume. What did he dress up as or who? What I don't understand about that whole thing with Honda Civic and Louis and Jeremiah is I just don't understand at this point. Oh, not he dressed up as three. EJ, I can't. That's hilarious. Oh my goodness. I have to go look at it. Y'all, I don't follow EJ. Is that an unpopular opinion in here? Okay. I'm not alone. Okay. Okay. Like, I can appreciate, protecting women, and I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it's a little dripped in misogyny. Like, yeah, y'all are saying exactly what I feel. So it's like, oh my goodness, that's too funny. Okay, so oh, babe, that does make a lot of things make sense. Exactly, Mika. What I don't understand is why has she not moved on? Oh, I think he can, Antoinette. You know what I mean? Like, it's but the problem. So here's the thing. Let me do this rabbit trail real quick about that real quick, just very quick about EJ. I think that EJ absolutely has a space. He's young. You know what I mean? Of course, he's going to grow and develop. The danger exists when the public platforms you and applauds you for that. What is the motivation to change? Hi, Sparkle. Where is the call in to say, oop, pull my coattails, something might need to adjust or evolve, right? And that's kind of like the beauty, but also the danger of social media is that, you get a lot of love on social media, you get a lot of support on social media, and we have to be curious about, like, no shade to anybody ever in here. Team Candy always welcome in. Hi, Just Ken. Hi, Taki. It's like, even in here, I've had people, or like in my comments, right? I have people want to try to get me to say certain things, or they want to try to pull certain things. And it's like, I'm old enough, right? I'm 40, right? So I'm old enough to know when it's like, that doesn't actually have my best interest at heart. And I don't think it's about people being malicious. People just like to be salacious. You know what I mean? And so you have to be very careful of that when you're navigating social media as a young person. Are people doing insane things and propping things up with your best interest in mind? Or not? Are they chewing you up just to spit you out? And that's why you have to have, I really almost feel like, am I about to act like I'm super, super old? I am maybe super old for this take, but I really do feel like you need to have a strong sense of self and a strong sense of identity before you start building a public platform on social media. Because if you're not careful, people will say, oh, that version of you, that big, boisterous, salacious, confrontational, or whatever it is, right? Version of you that's really like a very just kind of maybe young or underdeveloped or immature in some ways version of you. That's the version we like. And then you can never really grow past that because now that's what the people expect from you. And people will be angry if you begin to move differently than that. And so you have to be able to discern, you have to have a level of wisdom or people around you that have the wisdom to be able to say, babe, they don't mean you well. They don't mean you well. Even people that, you know, come into your inbox and maybe they're even, listen, when all of that shit was happening with the what they call themselves, the chalet fans, right? And me. I notice who is tagging me in messy shit versus who's just saying something or reporting it or whatever, right? How are people choosing to respond? Because what's your motivation? Why do you want me to see that? Because you want me to respond? Is that with my best interest in mind? Why do you feel like I need to ingest that? Are you really considering me or are you thinking about your entertainment? Hi, Dream Girl. And so I don't know if he has that in himself or has the people around him yet to do that. And so I do think we have to be very mindful when you're young and you're building a platform, right, on social media to just be cautious of how people are engaging with you and engaging with your content and to have people around you that can clock some of that. Hi, Applesauce. Hi, Shay. Applesauce, I was quickly doing a side quest about EJ. A quick side quest about EJ. And whether or not, you know, people around him are encouraging him to, you know, think through what he's being propped up for on social media and whether he'll have the community around him to help him grow in some areas that he will inevitably need to grow in because he's going to become an adult and you'll need to learn new skills. He didn't address it how people wanted him to. Cheeky Way, who are you talking about? Exactly. Internet, to your point, you're right. People tag him in hopes of him dragging people, but it only reflects badly on him, not on them. When people are using you as their cover to get their thoughts off, you have to be careful. Are they willing to let you fall on the blade for their entertainment? He didn't do anything in particular. Hi, D. I did not see that, babe. Y'all saw he said he was a founding father of Michelandria. I did not see that. I will say that the girl that I saw the most was the curly-haired, brown-skinned girl. Cutie, patootie. And that's the whole part, Emirates. The sad part is he regrets it when he calms down, which is why my hope, Nia, that's her name, yes. I'm hoping that people will eventually begin to surround him that can have his best interest at heart, that can help him to recognize what are people's motivations. And is that how I want to show up? Is that what I want to be known for? Is that how I want to be perceived by the public, right? And I'm not saying that you can't do a good read every once in a while, but I tell y'all all the time, you don't hear everything I think. You hear a lot of things that I think, but you don't hear everything I think because I'm just too fucking old for that. I'm not putting all of my thoughts on the internet. The fuck? I'm not doing that. In 4K? No. I would never. And because I'm also a Pisces. Baby, I'm taking a screenshot of what the fuck you said. I'm going to have this receipt forever. I'm not letting nobody do that shit to me with something. I never say something I'm not willing to have repeated. If I can help it. But I'm very conscious of trying not to, you know what I mean? And so I hope that he begins to have people around him that can do that. It is permanent history, Miriam. You know what I mean? Okay. I am a Pisces. A March Pisces like Nick too. March 8th, International Women's Day. Lady Russell had, oh my God, y'all, we got there really fast. How did I not see? Y'all didn't tell me. He's a star. He's super talented. He has peeps who has his best interest. I hope so. And I will say that
who's the star who's super talented?
EJ. I will say if he is recording things that he then has to take back or that he regrets, somebody in his circle is not pulling the coattails. Mm-hmm. Somebody has not taught him to do his checks and balances first, right? Sometimes you need to record it and then let it sit in the drafts. And then go add captions and then let it sit in the drafts a little bit longer and then decide whether or not you need to post it. So here's the thing for me about that, Antoinette, when it came to Louis and Honda Civic and Jeremiah, is I don't understand why has she not moved on to the point where her partner would know that not only is it unnecessary, it's unwarranted and it's unwelcomed. Like, why are you acting like that on my behalf? Why are you acting like that on my behalf? But her silly self, that's a good man, Savannah, knowing good and goddamn well she don't know where that damn reference is from. Girl, be quiet. You stay trying to be over here. You don't even go here. So I don't understand how she, like, it's October, babe. We still on some shit that lasted for 4 days, 5 days. I want you to move on. Move on. I think I'm saying your name right, Karen. Tell me if I'm saying it wrong. It may not be wrong. We were talking about, and he did, Mika. Right now, we were just talking about the, okay, thank you. We're talking about the reality something charity event that Honda Civic and Jeremiah and Louis were at, and how Louis engaged with Jeremiah. Thank you for the follow, username expired. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the follows, y'all. We're going to open the panel. She's still on. Yeah, Honda Civic was there. It came across my threads because people were praising Jeremiah. Because I don't just like see Honda Civic content, and she was in the video, but they were praising him because of how Louis was acting with him, and she's in the video laughing about it. And then thank you for the follow, Angel, and then says that's a good man, Savannah. No, Louis didn't ignore Jeremiah. So they're at some like charity event, and Jeremiah's trying to like do pull-ups. And so somebody, I don't know who he is, he's holding the side of the bar because it's like a standalone pull-up bar. It's not like bolted into the floor. You know what I mean? So they're holding it, and then Louis is shaking it. And Honda Civic is laughing as he's shaking it. So Jeremiah is like not doing it right. And then, the reality games. And then Louis was like, he shook it again and was like, it's an earthquake. And Jeremiah's like, chill, you know, like he's trying to like keep it cool or whatever. And then Louis just kind of like walks off at some point. Because Jeremiah's like not really giving a reaction to the moment. Right. And then Honda's like laughing, and she's like, that's a good man, Savannah. No, user, nothing new as far as I know about. We just happened. Why did we talk about EJ, y'all? Oh, because he got brought up and I just said, oh, I don't follow him. Is that like an unpopular opinion? I don't know how to say your name, Daisha. Tell me if I'm saying it wrong. I literally said that, that he wasn't on the bar. He couldn't do it on the bar. But if the video I saw, the other man is not shaking it. Only Louis is. And either way, it's still childish, right? It's a little like, for what? What's the intention? EJ did Agua before the challenge. Louis saw Jeremiah beforehand and said he wasn't holding it for him. Yeah, I only saw Louis shaking it. You watched the Twitch stream and they were both shaking it. Well, in the clips that got posted, he's the only one shaking it. I agree, India. I just don't understand why she would care that much anymore. Like, why do they care that much anymore? I don't understand why we care that much anymore. And then, like, it would be one thing. I think for me, it would be one thing. Exactly. Like, even if it was both of them, it's still patronizing. It's still, oh, he was doing the Agua de Kapoor challenge. Okay. Like, even, like, to me, I guess the fact that her fans act how they act with him too is like a whole other thing. I never made a video about it, but I do find that very disturbing that he is still so harassed by people that consider themselves to be fans of her. And then for her to engage in that behavior, like, we have to be honest about the way that that is nuanced and layered explicitly for it to come from the two of them, right? It doesn't have the same impact coming from whoever this other man is that it does when it's coming from them two, considering the way that her fan base explicitly acts with him when they see him in public, right? So this is another way in which it's like, I'm encouraging y'all to act like this with this man, because I'm saying that Louis is doing a good job. He's a good man, Savannah, by doing that. For what? Why does that make, like, I don't understand. It wasn't even that long ago, honestly. I've seen like recent videos, like maybe a month, maybe 6 weeks ago, where her fans are coming up to him and taking pictures and then going, hood, 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 hood. Like, it's like, what is wrong with y'all? What is wrong with y'all? Why are you acting like this? And so we have to be honest that, like, her choosing to then do that sends a continued message of there's some level of discontent. And it's like, you just could not. Like, have y'all never had to be in a room with people you don't fuck with? Like, I don't understand. Have you never had to be in a room with people that you don't fucking like? You know what you do? You just don't acknowledge them. Hi, dark skin lover girl. Like, I don't understand that. I don't understand it personally. Okay, y'all can request up. Exactly, be happy for life at work every day. At work all the time. It was giving work conference. Wait, did y'all hear that 404 had a DUI? Am I the only person that saw that? Lady Russell had, am I imagining that? Oh, it's old. It's old. Okay. Why is it coming out now? I mean, obviously I can imagine why. Like, why is that coming out? Why do we care? And who leaked it? Like, why do we care about that?
The DUI thing was posted, like, it was like emerged like after Post Villa as a way to be like, oh, Nick kind of dodged a bullet, you know, because that's when people first found it out, and then people are resurfacing it now because people are resurfacing it now to kind of reference Orlandria's father, because he also has a mugshot.
That is very corny. That is very corny. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't. That's very, very corny. Not the mugshots I care about are Eddie and Wendy. Clock it. That's very corny to be bringing up 404's things as a way to take a dig at Alandria's dad. Like, Alandria's father is not Alandria, so I don't even understand the correlation. And listen, no shade, but I mean, she did have a DUI, which is very different. Very different. I'm not about to. But having a mugshot ain't always a bad thing. Sometimes, not all laws are just, y'all. Sometimes you be getting arrested for shit that shouldn't be the law. Let's just keep it a buck.
Y'all remember when that model who had his mugshot out ended up with the lady who created Spanx? That's all I'm saying. They got together, they had a baby, doing real good. Mugshots don't always hurt, I think.
I remember Prison Bay. Exactly, Gia. I got arrested for protesting in my early 20s. Listen, I have avoided arrest, but I have definitely been in the streets and in situations where I could have been.
Yeah, people need to stop playing with Orlandria, because Orlandria said it herself. Like, her father has past affiliations, and she grew up in the Deep South, so she don't really play like that. So I don't know. I think people need to take it as a warning and stop like attacking her rather than thinking it as like a diss, because y'all don't really know her like that.
Not sure her mugshot should be hidden because she don't look good. Listen, if it was a DUI, she probably wasn't feeling good either. So, you know.
Oh, this is Miriam. I'm sorry. I think another clip that I saw with 404 and Honda Civic where they were kind of showing them before the all the injections and stuff to their faces. They were showing like the difference. The video that I saw.
I see. I wish that we could just listen. If you dislike somebody, I want you to just dislike them on their own merits and not in relationship to someone else, right? This goes back to like how I was saying in the parasocial stuff, right? Like if you're gonna dislike somebody, dislike them because you're like, I realize I just don't like that person, not because you feel like you need to defend a Landry against her, right? If you're gonna dislike 404, just dislike her because you dislike her. If you're gonna like a Landry, just like a Landry because you like her. It doesn't have to be in relationship to one or the other. That to me is odd. Hi, Trini Kimmy. Okay, I want to open up to, I'm going to let y'all chat about whatever. I'm going to go change my top. So I want to let y'all chat about whatever you want to chat about. I would love to invite into the conversation a little bit of the Ayesha Curry conversation that we were having last time, but I'm happy for y'all to chat about whatever you would like. Can we go from, Anne, are you available? Can we go bottom up or do you want me to go top down?
I'm available.
Okay, I'm going to go bottom up and I'll put a timer on you, friend, and then, go ahead. I'm gonna.
What's going on, everybody? I hope you guys are having a good weekend so far. I want to add to the conversation with Ayesha Curry. I feel like there's been a lot of tone deaf conversations, particularly on these TikTok streets. Because
And
I've heard from many. Yes, can you guys hear me?
can I get the? I've been hearing about Ayesha Curry, but I don't know what happened. What happened?
Okay, so the thing is, she went to the Call Her Daddy podcast and had a sit down with the host Alex Cooper, and she was saying how she doesn't feel fulfilled in her life right now as a mother and as a wife. She feels like she wants more and she wants to explore her career options. And people are like, oh, a lot of men were like, you should be happy. You got it all. You got the man. You got the kids. Da 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 da. And it's like, and then there were other women. There was another woman. Her opinion was, oh, you should be. Why would you have kids if you feel as a mother? You should be happy to be a mother. Yada yada yada. A lot of tone deaf stuff. I feel like they don't allow her to express her fullness as a human being, and that's like the issue for me. Because, like I said, I've never been married, but I am a single parent. I feel like women can lose their identity in a marriage, and I feel like that's what may have happened for her, so I empathize. And even if she has money and she has the husband, right, and she has the children, what if she claims that she wanted a career and she didn't see that for herself? And again, I also agree with Tina's take, like, you subscribe to the patriarchy, so it is what it is. But she's also allowed to have her fullness as a woman. I'm almost 30. I'll be 30 in a few months, and I don't even think I want to be married, to be honest. And I am a single parent, but it's like, for me, my truth is I've never been in a really healthy relationship. My parents haven't modeled that for me, so therefore I may not want that for myself. It's just might be a fear thing, but I'm allowed to express myself, full range of emotions as a human being, as a woman. My identity is not just being a mother. I really do enjoy what I do, in terms of like my career. I was a medical assistant. I say I retired because I'm pivoting into, public health. But I'm allowed to be a mother. I'm allowed to do my career. I'm allowed to be in a relationship if I want to, or in a marriage. Again, those are my choices. Those are my decisions. And they're not, oh, thanks, Tina. Yeah, they're not allowing her to be a full human being. Sorry about that. And they expect her to be like, you have the money, you have the man, you have the child, just be grateful. And that's what I hear from a lot of misogynistic men, and some women that are like, if you didn't want to be a mother, why are you a mother? Or you should be happy to be a mother. Or this woman that said, very tone deaf, I felt, you know I became a mother because I wanted my kids. She did not say she didn't want her kids, guys. Context is beating your ass. Context is beating your ass. I'm gonna say like Chris do. Some of y'all need to read a book. Read a book. Understand the context, okay? Don't, and I'm not here to shame anybody. English is not even my first language. So I'm gonna need y'all to read a book to learn something. It's just not your anecdotal experience or those around you. Like, there's a lot you can learn not open the schools. Guys, I've learned so much things and I've self-taught so many things on just YouTube alone. It really is a university. You should take advantage of the resources at hand. Not somebody said get a dictionary and a thesaurus. Clock in, not a thesaurus. Marriage is a lot of work and I got tired of it. I don't feel bad about it. And you shouldn't, happy for life, and you shouldn't. Again, she made these choices, but again, we're all allowed to grow. We're allowed to evolve. And if she wants something outside of her marriage and being a mother to fulfill her, i.e. her career or whatever she's trying to pivot into in terms of career, she's allowed to do that. Also, Tina, I want more insight into what do you think about Swifty. It's really been bugging me.
Okay.
It's been aggravating my soul.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
I'm going to give y'all a little bit more. So what I understand, now I'm not going to lie to y'all and act like I watched the whole interview because I didn't, okay? I didn't. I'm not going to lie. But I have seen the quotes of what she said, and what it appeared to me from what I read is that Ayesha was talking about she's talking about a past experience. Okay. She said, when my daughter was about 1, I began to realize that that she wanted something more for herself. She's like, I wasn't the girl that dreamed about getting married and about having kids. And it just all happened very quickly when she was young. And so she really was the girl that had her eyes kind of on her prize around her career. And so when her daughter turned about 1, she began to have these conversations with her therapist. She started having, conversations with Steph, and him not really quite understanding initially, but we've all seen Steph be very publicly supportive of her doing the other things, like, I don't know, whatever the fuck she be doing, y'all, but doing the other things that she wanted to do. Now, I will add in the nuance of what someone else has said in here. I can't remember who said it, but I agree with you that Ayesha absolutely subscribed to pick me politics, and now she's getting the blowback of the public. And by the public, I mean single men, because I feel like that's who's giving her the most smoke, and like male-centered women. They're giving her smoke because she is not doing what she's not fulfilling the role she's supposed to be fulfilling based on the persona that she created in the public eye by aligning with patriarchy. But she's talking to us about something that's old as fuck. Okay. She's talking about something that happened years ago. She's just now publicly talking about something that had already been happening privately. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's super common. And I do think some of the blowback is related to the fact that she aligned herself with a persona that says, oh, I'm not like those girls. I'm this, you know what I mean? She said she didn't sign up for having kids. That is, if she did say that, I haven't seen that. I mean, we all wish she hadn't even talked to Alex Cooper. I haven't seen her that she said that. I only saw that she said, this right here, like she did. And I mean, I think that that's okay for her to be honest about that, right? Like, I didn't plan to get married and to have kids this fast. It just kind of happened, right? I do want to, y'all, there's a person very near and dear to my heart on the panel right now. I want to let them share their thoughts because they can speak explicitly from the perspective of being married from, like, as a younger person. And so I want to let them share their thoughts. Will you go ahead and talk for me, Lemise?
Someone very dear to me.
Shut up.
Not very. So, full disclosure, I am Tina's older sister. I was born in 1981. She was born in 1986. So, I am her older sister. So, a lot of the way that I parent was based on the fact that I was parentified as a older sibling because we were raised by a single mother. And by single mother, I mean a woman that was primarily raising the children without the help of the father counterpart. Now, Christina's father was way more involved with her life than my father was by, like, he considers my children his grandchildren, even though we're not blood related. Like, that's important to the context. But I got married at 18. I had this boyfriend. I met him in senior year of high school. Christina knows him. We're now on, what is this, 2025? And we've been together since 1998. And somebody was saying it, you don't know what you know. I literally have the exact life I've pictured when I was 19. I wanted to be married. I wanted to have children, and I wanted to be a teacher. That was my dream life, right? Like, that's my best life ever. And I literally have all of that. I'm like, this is not what I wanted. But the only way I was able to figure that out was because he and I separated. And so I had a moment to breathe and say, actually, I don't like being a teacher that much. It's hard. And even though like my children were able to go to school where I worked, like it's still taking too much time away from my children. And then my husband had to get a job where it took him away from the house 3 or 4 weeks at a time. He'd come home for 5 days and then he'd be gone 3 or 4 weeks at a time. And then he'd come home for 2 weeks and then he'd be gone 3 or 4 weeks at a time. And it was fucking exhausting. So I was basically a single mother with the financial help, because that matters, raising 3 kids by myself. And my kids are fucking fantastic. You can follow my daughter _ I Love Lucy. She published her own novel, an HBCU romance novel. You can follow her on that. My other daughter is on a cruise ship. She's working for Disney on a cruise ship. My son is getting ready to go to UTSC. He graduated from high school early, so he's getting ready to go to UTSC after spending a year at Hampton. So like the things that I wanted, I thought that I wanted, but also I realized I'm not fulfilled. I've now progressed beyond being a teacher. I'm now an instructional designer, and I'm still like, this is not what I want. And I didn't have time to figure that out because I had to make sure that I graduated and got a degree and got a good job, because I had 3 kids to look out for. Because like Ayesha Curry, I had so many kids so early. And my husband, while he didn't get to do what he wanted to do, still got to make a lot of money, and he looked like the good guy. Oh, you graduated from college, you got this good job, you taking care of your wife, you the baddest dude on this block. So now I'm fighting against, I'm telling him like, hey, sir, can you please like help me? Simple shit, because we're in the house, put up the dishes. But other women and other men are telling him like, no, you don't need to do shit. As long as you bring money in the house, you are doing a good thing. Sir, you still have to participate in the active raising of the children. You have to help. You have to be here. And now that they're older, he's like older. They're super involved. He loves them so much. They like daddy's girls, and I love that for them. But it was very difficult. So I understand where Ayesha Curry is coming from, because people are like, you got your dream life. My dream life at 19 is not what my dream life looked like at 25. It's not what my dream life looked at 30. It's not what my dream life looks at 44, right? One of my daughters is practicing Spanish because she wants to go to Spain, and because she has the security of a home and a daddy and a mama that are letting her live at home and live her best life and figure herself out and self-publish her novel. She can do all those things. I can't do that. I have to make sure that I pay the mortgage on this house every month so that my children have someplace to live. I don't have that freedom. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because the good part is that I have a stable place over my house and a job to do that. But I also don't have the freedom to explore other opportunities because I have people to think of. And I literally did not give myself, this is not a punishment to my children. They're the best kids ever. I love them so much. But I did not give myself the opportunity to explore what might I like besides what I wanted when I was in fucking high school. If you're raised by a single mother, the first thing that you want is to be raised by a man that's going to take care of his kids. And I will say this for that, my husband ain't playing about taking care of his kids, because he ain't finna be the baby daddy out here looking trifling. Even it doesn't matter that he cares what other people think. He's like, I'm finna take care of my kids. His dad died when he was 11. So he's definitely like, I got to outpace 11. At least till 12, I got to be the best dad ever, right? At least till 12. And now our daughters are 24, our son is 19, and he's still an excellent father. So it's different for him because my mom has literally been around for our entire lives. And I'm comparing her parenting to my parenting, but her parenting stopped when I was 18 when I moved out and got married. So I am navigating raising young adults, or being a parent. I won't even say raising, because they're really, they're young adults, by myself at 20, or as a mother by myself, whereas he is navigating raising, being a dad to 21st. In his mind, he's the best dad ever. My daughters graduate from college. They graduated with honors. They have excellent jobs. They're pursuing their dreams. And in my mind, I'm like, well, they still are kind of like keeping things from me a little bit because they don't want me to judge them. And like they're talking about stuff with each other. Not so I'm judging my parenting constantly. He's not. He thinks he's the best fucking dad ever because the bar for dads is so low. So as far as we're speaking, as somebody spoke about Ayesha Curry, is you don't know what you don't know until you don't know it. And it's so unfair for people to come down on her and say, you have the dream life. She doesn't have a dream life. She has a safe life. That doesn't mean a dream life. People that live behind gates are safe. But if you can't leave the gates, is that a dream? If you can't leave the gates and explore what else you might like, is that a dream? It's not necessarily a dream. There's some things you have to consider, and you literally don't know that until you've experienced that, until you've gone out into the world and done that. And she didn't do that. So like there, I'm with Ayesha Curry. Even though she has the money life, we were able to send our daughters to Italy and Greece for 2 weeks after their senior year of high school. My son went like to multiple countries in Germany because they went to a high school and they were in the honors class where the teacher every 2 years she takes this grand trip overseas. And so because we were a 2-parent household that had enough money, we could send the children overseas with the teacher. You know who hasn't been to Europe? Me, motherfucker. Me. I haven't been to Europe. The children have been to Europe. The children know what Italian pizza tastes like, and I don't because I provided that for them. But I wasn't able to do it because I didn't have the money or the time because I was the mom. And even though Ayesha Curry has done she has done a cooking show, whatever, she's still doing it under the label of being Stephen Curry's wife and not Ayesha Curry, who has no label. Just Ayesha Curry as a person. She's doing it like, oh, we're only giving you this opportunity because your husband knows how to bounce a basketball. And her husband has been able to fulfill his dreams while having the wife and the children. He's been able to play basketball everywhere against the greatest and be the best because he has a wife who's handling the part at home that makes him look good. I'm done. I'm done fussing.
Now y'all see why I act how I act. Okay. Thank you, Lenise, of course. But yeah, thank you. That like is, I think that's the important part of the conversation that people are not having is that, and again, y'all know me. I'm like, listen, Ayesha chose to align with some things. I understand why people are having an uproar, and it's a nuanced conversation. You don't know what you don't know until you realize you don't fucking know it. And to say that she's living a dream life simply because that is your dream. And I get that. Everybody wants access to more money because it does make things easier, right? But you don't, and Miriam brought up a great question in my inbox. Miriam was like, I wonder if Ayesha is doing the career that she wanted to do or what she feels like she has to do, which is kind of what Lenise is pointing to, right? Is like, is it really an option or is it the option that I have because I still hold this role? And it's okay for her to talk about that. And I think we should let people and women explicitly be more honest about that so that younger girls get to make different choices, right? When we shit on women for talking about this honestly, then you make it where young girls can never ask the questions because, oh, it's not safe to ask that. I'm going to be judged for asking that or feeling like there's something wrong with me being curious about that. And I don't think it's anything wrong with that. And Kismet, I hear you, right? The same way Tina Knowles hired help, Ayesha could have as well. And to your point, HTX, right? And yet they suffered when it came to salons. Hi, lady. eBay. I think everybody is going to parent in the way that they want to parent. I don't think it's about her saying, oh, I want help or I don't have enough help or this or that. She's simply acknowledging a reality that a lot of women will, right? At some point, likely. She's simply acknowledging a reality that my life took a route that I did not expect it to take as quickly as it did. Thank you so much, Cha-Cha. And that has altered the way that I understand myself. And then I had to adjust when that happened. You know what I mean? And to Lanisa's point, what you wanted when you were 18, 19 years old is going to be different than what you want when you're 25, different when you're 50, different when you're things, your priorities shift, right? As you continue to live life. Okay, applesauce, I want you to share your thoughts. So sorry.
Sorry. No, I was just listening. I don't honestly, I know this this whole conversation with Ayesha Curry kind of relates. I can't really add too much onto it because I personally have not had experience such as that. But I'm kind of looking onto it as a current reflection right now with Love Island and the relationship between Nick and Alandria, and how people kind of want Orlandria to kind of be accessory to Nick, or Nick to be accessory to her, and how they're kind of projecting these issues and they want her to kind of conform to this identity, and how they're not willing to let see her change in a way, like she's obviously has more money now, and so she's gonna explore different opportunities and things like that. So I'm just looking at it in a connection to like the past, like Ayesha Curry, to now a current relationship, especially in a relationship where people kind of want one couple to be the powerhouse rather than both couples to be the powerhouse. I think oftentimes we see with kind of reality stars, the women tend to be the powerhouse, and then in actual like real life, like career wise, it's the men. And so seeing now the Nick and Orlando thing, where it's kind of like they're both a package deal, but some people want Orlando to be more powerful than Nick, and Nick to be more powerful than them. I'm just basically like observing it. That's just my point of view.
I think that's a great point. I think people inherently want hierarchy. Like hierarchy makes people comfortable. And the thought that people would work as a team, even though oftentimes that is what is happening in, I'm about to be biased, but like successful households, right? Is there some level of like teamwork? But people want a hierarchy because that makes more sense to them and that makes them more comfortable. And so trying to project again. Yeah, I hear that completely.
Yeah, I'll add on to this. This is my last thing. But the funny thing is, currently there's this conversation on TikTok about how there's a lot of people are complaining how they wish married people that got married actually went on TikTok and talked about marriage life. But then the people that are married are saying, well, we don't talk about marriage life because you guys honestly don't want to hear. You guys don't want to hear how society sells you this hierarchy, but this hierarchy is not actually what it appears to be, because both are struggling with this constant pull of following what society is telling you while also experiencing the real life, and then also having to deal with changing and how to tolerate those changes. And so I think people kind of want to fall into these like structures, but they don't understand that these structures are only ever instilled if you instill it within yourself. And so you're constantly battling with yourself, your own desire to kind of go against the structure because you know it's not actually natural, but you want to follow into it because you think it's natural, because people are telling you it's natural.
Yeah. And then when you have all that disruption, you're like, well, I don't understand why it's not working. You're like, yeah, because you're buying into a rhetoric and a narrative that like doesn't actually work.
Yep. That's why Ayesha is currently not happy, because she's realizing that.
Thank you. Lady Russell Hat, please give us your thoughts, my friend.
Hey y'all. I feel like my thoughts are pretty scrambled, but in a good way. One, I feel like I'm 39, right? I'm married, but I don't have kids yet, right? Because I can't. I feel like my mom was always like, when you become a parent, you stop being the picture and you start being the frame, right? That's what she told me. Like, that's what motherhood is, right? I haven't been able to like tell myself I don't want to be the frame yet, but like part of me wants to be the frame. Just, I don't know, right? Mm-hmm. But I look at my friends who are all moms, right? Because like I'm kind of in like that age group, and or at least like for the South, like it's pretty normal of multiple kids, and like it's weird because I have one friend who's extremely wealthy. She's a stay-at-home mom, like, and she's a really good fucking mom. But also at the same time, right? Like we've all had these conversations with our friends that like they know it. Like she's married, like half the time she doesn't really like her spouse. I think he's kind of a dick, he's kind of a bully, but that's just my personal opinion. And he'll say things to her like, know your role, know your role. This is a girl that has 2 degrees. She was a nurse practitioner. Like she literally, who she was is like not anymore. Like, now who she is like a mom, and not even in a bad way. She's they don't really get along in like their marriage. So she'll be like, my kids are really what pushes me through. But then it's crazy because she's like, if I had known, because she was very SOP. Thank you. Very SOP. Like I go to school. I think we all did it, right? I haven't like made the leap, the same one that my friends have, but like she looks back on it and she knows she's like more than that, right? And then I think of like Diane Keaton, right? Who never got married, right? Who fucking rocked suits, who decided I'm actually going to go this route. Like she still ended up, she adopted her kids later. Like I think women get, it's kind of bashed on either way, either way you do it. And honestly, like your sister said, you don't know what you don't know. I think you would maybe, I don't know, half the time I look at my spouse and think, should I have picked a different partner? Okay, like that's where I'm at, right? So I think like you don't know. And I feel like for Ayesha Curry, I think that feeling of being kind of invisible, that feeling of like not really being seen is what she's like describing. And I don't think it's wrong for her to describe that. Like she's more than someone's wife, but also she's also a good wife and a good mother. And that's not a crime either. And that's all I have to say.
I love that you're adding in the nuance, y'all, because again, and I know that y'all know we do nuance over here, right? So more than one thing can be true at a time. Also, hello to all my subscribers that just joined. I couldn't say your names because people were talking and I don't, but hello, I saw all of you come in. Hello. Moonlight Ray, all the people that came in. I think Mia came in, all the people that came in. But like, exactly, she is a person outside of her relationship to other people. You are allowed to come to a space of realizing like something is challenging or unfulfilling, or oh, maybe I want more autonomy or I want more identity. That doesn't mean that you don't also love those things about your life. It doesn't mean that you fucking hate them. This black and white thinking really is like the downfall of all, like really what it is what I talk about all the time is like critical thinking, right? Like how much it is lacking online. People believe because Ayesha is saying, I didn't have this, or I didn't expect this for myself, this, I wanted something different, then that must mean she absolutely didn't want this and she hates it and she thinks it's awful and oh my God, she's embarrassing her husband. Like it's these extremes that don't need to exist. She can love being a mom and a wife and say, I'm also realizing that I wanted something more for myself. And so then I started doing things to have something more for myself. And maybe I'm realizing, ooh, maybe I want even something different than that. That's not inherently negative. So thank you for adding that extra layer of nuance in. Okay, Miriam, please give us your thoughts.
Okay, okay, I'm off. My thoughts have been changing back and forth, and like you said, Tina, you and I, I made a comment on the post, and then we had a little, conversation offline, and I agree with your sister in the fact, and I really appreciate what your sister said. When you're in the midst of it, you can't really see until things settle down. And like she said, what you thought you wanted is not the most fulfilling thing. I was thinking about it as your sister was speaking, that do we have to be one thing? Do we can't, you started out I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for like over 30 years, but I've played around with writing, I've played around with acting, and I've done some stand-up, and those things make me happy too, but that doesn't mean I don't love being a nurse. So I appreciate, like I said, I appreciate what your sister said, because it really made me think about Ayesha and what she's doing a little deeper. Initially, I was thinking like, did she have this conversation with Steph? And you said that she said she did have these conversations with Steph, but he kind of wasn't completely getting it. And I just hope that, I know she's doing some things outside her family, but and Steph seemed like, I love Steph Curry. I think he comes across as a great guy, right? He, takes care of his family. He's unproblematic. But I guess I'm glad that she's able to vocalize it. Should she be getting beat up like that? I don't think so, because I watched a little clip from the Call Her Daddy, and I really didn't take it that, like you said, that she was not happy with her life. It's just that she wanted her plans were different than what actually her life became. She had different plans before she met Steph, right? And I guess whatever he did, I don't know. She decided that's the life she went a different direction. But it's not to say that now she can't evolve and pursue, these other dreams and other goals. She just need to have a good communication with Steph, and they have the support to make these things happen for her. So she doesn't necessarily have to feel that she's missing out.
Right.
Yeah, that's all I have on Ayesha for now.
Miriam, it's not letting me. Oh, never mind. Just kidding. I'm going to end your time. Thank you so much for your thoughts, Miriam. Okay, Antoinette, I'm going to hop to you. Will you give us your thoughts? Oh my gosh, why is it doing that?
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Okay. Sorry, my thoughts are a little scattered. Okay. I'm specifically talking from like the perspective of a 30-year-old woman who is like looking to one day get married. Looking at like Steph, Ayesha Curry, Jaden Pinkett-Smith, as well as Blake Lively, there's a way men online talk about them that is so disturbing to my spirit. Like, you have a Jaden Pinkett-Smith who is living her coulda, shoulda, wouldas, and has been for decades with her partner's permission, and still talked about like she is scum. You have an Ayesha Curry who a little bit lived her coulda, shoulda, wouldas with like her cookbooks and her restaurants, but she even made a comment like, I wish I had like a little side thing or something. And I ain't never really, but she a little bit with her, she made the comment, it was funny, but I don't think she was being funny, but she was, she's open about like, hey, I coulda, shoulda, woulda, like, right? And then you have a Blake Lively who has never once verbalized her wants, needs, or anything like that. It's more a lot of whispers, and the fact that if you paid attention to like her thing, she was at like the height of her hot girl summer era when she met her husband, who's significantly older than her. It's not to say she's not happy and married with kids, but it's just to say she was at the height of like breaking marriages and living her best life. Now she's married with kids. Fast forward, her career really slowed down, because I mean, she was short of Blair, the other girl of Gossip Girl, she was the height of it. And now she's like in the media with because allegedly she started having feelings for a guy she was on set with, and to me it reads as like a now you have a girl who never talked about her coulda, shoulda, wouldas, never lived out her coulda, shoulda, wouldas, just kind of repressed them, got married, had kids, and repressed her life. And then what do you have? You have men on all platforms talking about how they are embarrassing their partners. All three of them. The ones who talk about it and don't do it, the ones who do it and do it openly with their partner's permission, the ones who don't talk about it at all, but now are in the media because you had a oopsie, allegedly. And it's crazy because it's like, as someone who wants to an extent, I am a woman who was socialized to want marriage. I don't think I want kids, but I was socialized to want marriage. But it's just like, I don't even think that men, and it's really not them, it's like they give women no grace. Like, they refuse to. Now, no, our entire lives we have listened to, oh, he cheated because he was unfulfilled, he was missing something, he just needed something. And yet these women are literally telling you, I need something, I'm missing something, or dang, I wish I woulda, coulda, shoulda, woulda. And it's still like, you should be happy because he's rich and he's attractive, and it's like, you have Offset writing a whole album about how Cardi B wouldn't cook. Cardi B, the B stands for bands. She is the breadwinner. She is always with her kids, but because she won't cook for you, she like, what? Like, it's like, I don't. And then you have men who will like go up for that, like who will like clap. Like, what do you mean? And it's like, y'all. And okay, you could take away like the podcast men, right? Take away the podcast men. I'm talking about regular men who are the people who aren't technically getting the red pill information, like the regular average day. Y'all also still having those conversations in barbershops. Like, I'm a black woman who my community is black men in their 40s, 50s, my stepdaddy, and they have the same conversations in different fonts as these people on these podcasts. And it's like, y'all be like, oh, you should be happy because I came home from the Trojan battery today, so you should be happy that I came home, despite the fact that I ain't talked to you all day, despite the fact that I ain't see you all weekend. But you should be happy because I'm here and I paid the rent this month and I paid the mortgage. And it's like, I don't even think, and it's like, this is how men at home are talking. So yeah, these red pill kids, y'all are just talking the same way and with slightly better verbiage to kind of get the slightly better verbiage. And it's like, I don't think y'all hear y'all make it so, they make it so scary for women who want to actually do want partnership, because I don't want to look back like Ayesha Curry in 10, 15 years talking about some, oh, I wish. No, I want now. Like, no. And it's like, and even someone like Jada Pinkett Smith, who like has permission from her partner, y'all clown her too. Like, and he's doing what he want to do. She never once has their conversation ever been a matter of Jada does, Will doesn't. It's always been a matter of, we love each other, we do what we do, we communicate, and still that's the problem.
Right.
There's no winning for women. Like there was just no winning. Which is why, as much as I love Ray and I like the song, that I Would Like a Ring song pisses me off. Oh my god. It's like, it is so annoying, especially as like a foil to like that British girl Olivia Dean, her entire that album that she just released. It is this beautiful, it's about her talking about being in love and allowing a man to love her and not being owned by one, but just experiencing love and them experiencing her and vice versa. And that is like such a completely different conversation, and I just wish more men would listen to that and see that, yeah, women have their coulda, shoulda, wouldas too. Like, watch Fences again. I know you watched it.
Right? I will say this about a small one. You were like, even the men that are not, on the podcast, the only reason why they're not on the podcast is because they can't afford a mic. Okay? Because they would be too. Because they are just as trash as the podcast man. Okay? That's Barbershop was the first podcast situation. Okay, was them motherfuckers sitting there together doing that shit. So yes, there's never any smoke, and you're right, there is no grace. And I was actually on a live, and I told y'all about it already. And then I'm gonna bring up, hi Amina, hi Ali, hello everyone. I'm gonna bring up Glow, because Glow is gonna probably give us some astrology perspective. Hi Breezy, thank you for the likes, thank you for the follows, y'all. But I definitely want us to be clear. Like in the live I was in earlier today, one of the men, now we know it's a moot argument, right? But he did say, like, women don't hold women accountable. And I think the thing is, and what I said is, right, women are in community with each other where we don't have to get on public platforms and do this, right? Because we actually hang out and talk to each other. We actually will pull your coattail in real fucking life. You know what I mean? We will be like, girl, are you thinking that through? Like, we do that in real. So y'all, yeah, we're not performing it for you, but we are doing it. And so they get pissed because we're all watching. We're just witnessing for Jada. We're just witnessing for Ayesha. We're just witnessing for these women. We don't need to do any level of like a critique or like around holding them accountable around this, because we already do that in real life. Y'all just only ever hear it on the internet because this is the only space that y'all exist in together. Anywho, Glow, I'm gonna bring you up, and then I see Lady Evie, you are also in my queue, and so I will bring you up when I rotate out. But Glow, I would love for you to give us some of the astrology pieces.
Hi guys, can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Hi. So I pulled Ayesha Curry's. I needed to pull it like last week, but I went ahead and I pulled it earlier this weekend. So there's a lot of things going on with Ayesha Curry. Not bad things, but it explains why her looking at her birth chart explains why there seems to be this ongoing theme of people taking what she says and then misconstruing it. That's one thing that I notice a lot. Hi, Tina's husband, Mr. Tina's husband. Sorry. So I did notice that when I looked at her birth chart. I did actually watch the podcast in its totality. And quite honestly, I personally didn't this time around see anything wrong with anything she said. I felt like it was a normal conversation of a woman who is evolving. And my initial objective when I was looking at her birth chart was trying to understand what was going on and why there were so many people committed to misunderstanding her. And I did realize that, her placements, she has a chart that is very warm, very fiery, very sunny. And the Ayesha Curry that you guys see on social media is not the Ayesha Curry that is actually who she is. She's actually even more outspoken than what you guys think she is. That's one. She's an Aries. That Leo rising that she has, it's all great and well for the culture, but in reality, she's really an Aries, and I love that for her. And so, with that being said, she is even more outspoken and even more solid in her, and even more driven than people give her credit for. If you've ever met an Aries man, then you would understand an Aries woman. Um, Yes. And then so the first thing she said in the at the 27-second mark of the podcast was, I'm hoping not to get in trouble for anything that I say, because that seems to be a theme in her life. Part of that is because she is a Leo rising. Leo represents the sun. She's very radiant. She's very self-assured. Having an Aries sun also makes it even double self-assured. She's effortlessly visible. And then on top of that, her visibility activates other people's shadows. So when I look at Ayesha Curry's story, it's like a fairy tale if you actually think about it. If from human perspective, not like not Aries gang. Yeah. So from a human's perspective, it is very fairy tale like. She was raised in Canada up until she was 14, moved to North Carolina, has always been in acting or modeling since she was 3. So this is not somebody who, wasn't familiar with lights, camera, action. So this is somebody who's been in show business. This is somebody who grew up in show business. She graduated high school at 17. Steph was still at home. Her and Steph were not even really dating like that. They just orbited each other because they shared mutual friends. They didn't even go to the same school so those are things we have to, take into consideration. And then so the first question that was asked was if she wanted a big family, and she said no. And then she went into it. And when she went into it, it made sense because, again, she's looking at herself from being a child to her adult self now. And she's saying, even growing up, I didn't think about getting married. I played boss lady. I played career woman. I didn't play wedding. I didn't play house. I didn't play walking down the aisle and daddy giving me. She said, that wasn't for me. I didn't see that for me. She said she wasn't one of those girls that dreamt of a wedding or played wedding. So when I see people saying she says she saw she was never going to marry this man, that right there has everything to do with her Mercury, which rules speech. And also it rules her thought process, how she thinks, how she speaks, how she communicates. All of that sits in her 8th house. That 8th house is in Pisces. If you think about Pisces, you think of like a siren. They're underwater. And when they talk, have you ever tried to scream underwater? It's very muffled. It's very garbled. And if you listen to people that have like a lot of Pisces placements, like even SZA or Justin Bieber, when they sing, it's unintelligible sometimes. Hey, Pink Butterfly. And so with that being said, how does that actually translate into her demeanor and how we interpret what she says? People hear what they want to hear when it comes to her. Even though she thinks she's speaking clearly, she speaks in moods and not crisp sentences to us. Her communication naturally blurs the edges. So her message dissolves into whatever projections people have. And what I've seen is a lot of people project onto her. Not to mention she has a Libra moon. So it's square her Saturn and her Neptune. And so she comes off as too good to be true, too perfect to trust. Life is too perfect, yeah. Why does it, how could anything wrong ever go in her life? How could anything go wrong in her life? That's what people think of. They see her as the girl who has it all. And so people like that, when they talk about okay, thank you. So when they talk about anything that they could see as an inconvenience or a problem, people, yeah, Janae Aiko too. They're not struggle singers per se. I mean, but people like her that have the placements that she has, everything looks like a fairy tale from the outside looking into us. And so when she seems to have an issue, it's like, are there a lot of are we all Black women on this platform?
Yes, everybody.
It's like us listening to a rich white woman complain about first world problems. We don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear it, because what are you saying? Oh my God, it's like when I go outside and it's hot and I get a sunburn, and how dare that happen to me? Like we all look at her in that way, like you're complaining about things that are first world problems. And so her problem overall, from male and female perspective, is that she has too much good stuff going on in her life, that even if she were to have a problem that is valid, we cannot validate it. Because go ahead.
I just want to say to that, right? Like, this goes back to like people separating her from her humanity. And what I said to y'all earlier, right, is like people, it's a dream life to you. And so because you project that is what should make life comfortable, you cannot imagine that she would have any discomfort in
correct
this, right? And let's be honest, a lot of that is probably also colored by the fact that she's a woman, because y'all normalize the fuck out of, and people are talking about it in the comments, men having midlife crises. Why is it so abnormal for you to think that a woman would get to a point in her life where she sits back and she reflects and she goes, is that really what I wanted? Why is that so hard for y'all to imagine? Because you believe, because you're on the dick of patriarchy, sorry, not sorry, you believe that because she has achieved wifehood and motherhood to someone that has wealth and has power, that's the ultimate goal. That she should be satisfied, because that's all that a woman should be wanting for herself anyway.
Correct. And so that then goes into, I'm glad you said that. Thank you. That then goes into the next aspect of it. I'm going to say this right now. I am not in any way on the same level as Tina when it comes to whatever the heck she's talking about. I need you guys to 100% understand that. All I do is astrology, and I just look at things away. She is actually a professional. What she's saying is what she's saying. Okay. I'm just, I'm just here. So, with that being said, there are a lot of women a lot of women that agreed with it, that said, she needs to either divorce him or be quiet, or, things like that. And my thing is, when I'm seeing things like that, it's a projection trap. There's like this false binary of, this internet ultimatum that has nothing to do with real life. Growth inside of a marriage is a valid path, and she's an individual. She is not a tentacle on Steph Curry's body. She is not a vestigial organ. She is not, she is not connected to him like, an organ or a phalange is. She is her own person. He sees her as her own person, but his approach is very different from hers. His approach to life is, and she said it and she ain't wrong. That man, when I tell you that man says that what he says, and he says, when people start projecting on her and she starts wanting to talk about it, she even said it, I want to talk about my feelings, even though I agree that he's right. I want to talk about my feelings. He's like, well, why do we want to talk about it? We've agreed that it's stupid. Let's just move on. Like, do you want to go on a trip? Like, that's how he treats her. And it's not that he doesn't care. It's that he's already rationalized in his mind that whatever projection they have about his wife, it's not true. And he loves her. They've been married since she was 22 years old. Do you know what were we all doing at 22 years old? Exactly. What was going on chemically in our brains at 22 years old? Exactly. So for her to have been 20, she's 35 now. at 30, even when she said what she said on that one show about wanting to be desired, and we took that away, I still, can understand why it was taken that way. But again, she was 22 years old when she married this man. And again, if you really look at it, a lot of women now wished if they could ever go back and do it, they wish they could do it to where they could have had the Ayesha Curry experience in life, meaning meet my dream guy, fall in love, get married, not have to go through all these other men. And I'm not saying it like go through all these other men like that. I'm not saying it like that. I'm just saying not have to experience the disappointments, not have to experience the failures, not have to experience the men missing the mark, the inadequacies, the incompetence, the all that stuff. If I could have just done it one go round and done it right, I would have done it right. And the thing is, all of us, if we utilize our birth charts correctly, can have an Ayesha Curry experience. We just don't know that it's possible because we don't know that tool is available to us. Side note, I'm not selling these services right now. I want to talk about Ayesha Curry. With that being said, when a lot of women look at Ayesha Curry, she makes them feel a way because they feel like she got everything in one go. She didn't have to make the mistakes that they had to make. And we don't understand that, yes, our journeys are our journeys and there's lessons that we need to learn. She's learning the lessons she needs to learn in this lifetime. So when people are saying things like she needs to divorce or be quiet, if she wants outside male attention, yada, 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 it's a lot of projection. It's a lot of, I don't even know how to describe it. I don't have a real name for it. I don't have a name for it. It's like people, it's like there's a discomfort with her being visible, being self-aware, and being married to a man who's also visible. And it does something to people. And what's happening with Ayesha isn't even about attention or validation. It's about projection. Not to mention, she triggers the archetype of the woman who has it all but still wants more, even though she actually doesn't want more. She stated that she's very grateful. She's just trying to figure out the what else, not the more, the what else. In it is a disdain. Yes, it is a slight disdain that I see with her. And so I also see with her Libra moon, like she comes off as very scripted at times. And she does that again because she's scared of being in trouble for what she says. And so the more polished she sounds, it's like she can't win. The less authentic she sounds, it's like, why is she crying? Why is she complaining? And we do this with a lot of Black female celebrities. It's not just her. We do it, especially we can be even tougher on our dark skinned ladies too. But either way, I feel like, from a Black female's perspective, as a Black woman, we look at her and as a Black woman, she's in the best possible scenario. And so she's damned if she does and damned if she doesn't. Just like when, yes, contempt, Amina. Just like when Alandria was going off on Taylor, which was valid, she still got beat up for that, even though it was valid. And she really wasn't going off on that man. So there's that too. And then I noticed that there's a lot of men that are obsessed with talking about her. And I saw your video. I didn't get to comment on it, but you did say that you don't care about inviting men into the conversation. And I agree 100%. No, I agree 100%. And the reason that I agree with that is because a lot of these men have this para-homosocial relationship with Steph Curry. And they keep saying things like she's bitter, she can't do anything on her husband's level, and she says things that weren't positive for her marriage. It's a bunch of crap. And they're saying she's disrespecting her marriage when all she's doing is evolving on a public platform. She's just evolving publicly. And evolution in a woman who's visible, who's obviously very loved, and also is self-possessed, it makes men feel away, especially men.
Can I, before you, because I have to say this to that. You talking about her evolution in public, it especially infuriates them because they cannot imagine that evolution would look like decentering them and
Correct.
decentering their needs and decentering the family. And it doesn't mean that you don't love those things. You don't love those parts of yourself. But they cannot imagine that that's what evolution looks like. And the men that have so much to say about Ayesha, the ones that I've seen, it is because you feel like the only appropriate place for a woman, the only way that a woman is engaging appropriately in her femininity is to be being quiet, pretty, and in service to you. And that's it.
I agree 100%. And the reason I'm going to say that one more time is because when they say things like LeBron's wife would never, like what they're really saying is I prefer women who are invisible and who remain invisible. And so them trying to hold her accountable for something that was said 5+ years ago, it has nothing to do with her. It has everything to do with them projecting themselves into Steph Curry's life. And they see him as, aspirational. And so when his wife speaks about autonomy, they take it as a personal betrayal when this man is like, I want her to have her own interest. I want her to do things that are for her. I want her to be, because if she's happy, then I'm happy. Then I don't have to, we're never going to get divorced because look what just happened to his parents. He doesn't want that. And his parents literally just got divorced a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And so they start policing they start policing his wife instead of focusing on whatever the relationships they have in their own personal lives. They start thinking they're defending him from a threat that doesn't exist. Meanwhile, this man is living his best life with his wife and his kids. And they think they're doing something, and all they're doing is trying to stifle feminine evolution. And they think they're defending marriage. Meanwhile, these men they're not even married, ain't never been married, don't even know how, their right knee probably doesn't even work for them to get on one freaking knee and ask somebody to marry them. They probably don't even have that functionality, real talk. And so they're over here doing all of that. Meanwhile, they're not even marriage focused themselves.
It's why they hate Russell Wilson. It's why they call him a simp, because again, he has violated the order and the rules of unspoken, unwritten, but the rules of patriarchy that say once you become a mother to someone's child, you now are there's a level of ownership from that man to you at all times because you are the mother of his child. And because Sierra was now a single mom, she's supposed to now be undesirable. And so you are violating the unspoken social rules that we have made around how women are supposed to show up if they want to be picked. So how dare you pick her? And so that's why they have so much angst and anger toward Russell.
Yep.
And I think we could argue about some things that happens in that marriage. Don't even get me started, right?
Okay.
But the point, they're pissed at him. And so this defense that they're doing of Steph is only going to last for so long because as he continues to publicly, because he has publicly chosen to support his wife, as he continues to do that, you will see the tide shift on him as well. Because they're pissed that you are not ascribing to the patriarchy because again, these are single men that don't got no woman, don't got no partner, ain't never had no partner, can barely, make breakfast for themselves, right? They have ascribed the patriarchy as the ultimate goal. And the patriarchy says if you do A, B, and C, then this is what you will get. This is the ultimate prize. Mm-hmm. And if I see men that are powerful, that are wealthy, that are supposed to be the men that I'm looking to, not doing A, B, and C, but then what am I supposed to do in order to get the prize? And so their cognitive dissonance, that dysfunction that's happening upstairs, then makes all of that projection and that anger get fueled and pushed toward these relationships.
I agree 100%. And then on top of that, you're looking at, and then when you really look at the men who are angry, it's a particular demographic of men. And I'm not talking about just race. I'm talking about social economic demographic as well. And, these men, their problem has to do with the fact that, I hate to say it like this, Jesus. Let me just say it. No, let me just say it. So basically, a lot of their anger has nothing to do with her. It has to do with the fact that she has the freedom that they do not have. And so when they're looking at how she's able to navigate, how he holds space for her without flinching, he makes room for her to, do. She doesn't go and complain to him about. She even says, "I don't complain to my husband about what I can't do. I'm, she's trying to figure it out on her own. He's there to be a resource, and he is proud to do that. And the fact that she has the freedom to do that and the resources bothers them, and it says, and because it sheds light on their lack of freedom, and that's what it is.
They want to be picked too, Glow.
No, they want to be princesses too. Period.
Okay, wait. I'm gonna pause you only because Lady Evie. I know you've been hanging out, girl. I want to hear your thoughts.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take over.
No, it's okay. Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. Lady Evie, I want to hear your thoughts that you want to add to this conversation too. To the person that asked, we were just chatting about. So Ayesha did a podcast interview. She shared in a very small nutshell of everything. That she shares some reflections about her role as a mother, as a wife, and how she wanted something more for herself. And there's been a shit ton of dialogue from people on the internet, and we're just talking about that and what's been going on with it. Okay, Lady Evie, please give us your thoughts.
Hi guys, thank you so much for allowing me to come up. I think I'm coming from a woman who was married once and divorced. Initially, prior to me getting married, I had already had my daughter. So I know you were asking, what were we doing when we were 21, 22? I only were giving birth. And so with that, I had to look at even a lot of something you were talking about projection. I was looking at even myself. Because I think a lot of times that we like to project our own insecurities and issues onto other people and what we would do if we were in their shoes. And the truth, so you don't know because it's not you. And so with that, for me, I grew up male-centered. I guess it's like mainly because of my mom. She chose my father. He had a drug addiction. And because of that, it was a lot of chaos within the home. And I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm getting choked up. Even talking, but it frustrated me because I never understood why she chose him over us. And he was my father. He wasn't an evil man, but she chose him. And it ingrained in me. And I said, I would never marry a man like you. And so as a young girl, I grew up resenting him and hating him. But because I did not heal, I chose somebody even worse than him. He wasn't a violent man, but I chose somebody who was violent. He was not an evil and vindictive man, but I chose somebody like that. And because of my mother, she made it seem like, she groomed us and based off of our upbringing, how to take care of a man and through his issues and his shortcomings. And that's what I did. I pretty much perpetuated that cycle until it clicked, until something in me, I was stopped being afraid to let go and divorce him. And I left because it literally the whole situation in marriage almost drove me crazy. Like I literally had a dream. God showed me a dream of me being in an orange jumpsuit behind bars. And I was like, where's my baby? And he's like, Erica, if you don't leave, you're going to jail. Because I was getting ready to kill him. I would literally watch him sleep. That's how bad it got, because it was a lot of witchcraft. It was a lot of mind control. He was a narcissist to the T. I don't use that term lightly. I know it's a buzzword for everybody, but no, I was literally sleeping with the enemy. That joker hated me. And so because of that, I kept rationalizing, well, maybe if I did this and maybe if I did that, things would be better. And I could, do this. And it's nothing that you can do or love. You can't love somebody out of dysfunction. But I also had to deal with my dysfunction. Because a lot of times when we don't deal with ourselves, we have an appetite for the very thing that we hate. And then when we look at somebody whose life may, just like Ayesha, may be like, the perfect life, we get frustrated with her because I wish that was me. That's what you're really saying. Mm-hmm. I wish that was me. I wish I didn't have to go through this. And I wish I had, the husband and the lifestyle. But I believe that when we really take a step back and allow her to have a human experience, because I know some of the stuff I seen clips of the interview, but it was just like, I don't know, because it did sound off-putting, just like someone said, because sometimes how you speak, how you relate your message to someone, they may not pick it up like you. And so, or maybe misinterpret what you say. Sometimes it happens like that. But, this girl that had 4 kids, been through, hormone change and postpartum. It's a lot that goes on with women that she's literally going through on a public stage. And then you have to look at yourself. You can get away with certain things. You can get away with having a meltdown. You can get away with all these things, but she can't, because of course she has to appear to be perfect and a perfect wife and a perfect mother. That's a lot of pressure. And so my heart goes out to her, but we're just going, seeing what she's going out on public stage and what she's going through. And we're frustrated with her because we feel like she should act a certain way. And even myself, I had to look at certain situations and I'm just like, okay, this is how you would handle it, but you have to give other people grace to handle situations, the way that they can handle it, hopefully in a more constructive and a healthier way. But, I think that a lot of times it's based off of our own insecurities and our own frustrations. We project out, onto other people. And I also look at, I think somebody mentioned, or even with Nick and Alandria, and I love the fact that she's living her life. I love the fact that she's doing, ventures outside of him. And we become so male-centered to the point, and I'm seeing on TikTok, they call the aunties, and I'm just like, I'm almost old enough to be her mom, but I'm just like, let the girl live. I wish I would have been able to live. She's doing her own venture. She's making her own money. She's not worried about him. And I love that for her. She does not center him. He's chasing her. And I love that for her, because of course she's able to live her life and accomplish dreams and goals without him, outside of him. And so in the event if the, relation evolves into marriage or whatever, that she'll be able to say she has her own identity of who she is within outside of the relationship, but also within the relationship. And that was it.
Thank you so much, Lady Evie. Please know that you don't ever have to apologize for letting your emotions come up in this space. We're super brave and courageous over here, so we make space for all this stuff in this live. Those of you all that are joining and asking why Ayesha and Steph are up there, Ayesha did an interview on the Call Her Daddy podcast and essentially shared some reflections around what it meant for her to be a mother and to be a wife, and how she realized that she wanted more than that for herself. And that has been very off-putting. And so we're having the conversation with a lot of nuance in this space. I want to also, something else that you said, Glow, I literally wrote myself a note about it, because you said, Ayesha's not a tentacle. She's not she's not an extension of Steph. And I just want to talk about how that is the way that, again, whiteness and the patriarchy shape our understandings around your family unit, right? That you are supposed to be an extension of your husband. Your children are an extension of you, right? And so this idea that she would be an autonomous person is lost on them, right? And I brought up Nipsey Hussle earlier, just talking about if your babes live long enough to get something that happens, right? That disappoints you. But I want people to remember when Lauren London did that movie with Jonah Hill after Nipsey Hussle passed, the men online were in a fucking uproar because as an actor, she had kissed Jonah Hill, and it took Jonah Hill coming out and saying it was computer generated for people to back off, because they see her, even in his redaction, even in his passing, as an extension of him, as owned by him, because she was last owned by him. So how dare she step outside of him, even in her job, right? And so men conceptualize women. Exactly. Men conceptualize women as extensions of men, right? This is why you will hear some men say, if I was married, my person was an actor or whatever, I would be upset about that. Or it's why you also will hear men say, I don't protect women unless, it's my mama, my sister, my wife, someone that is in relationship to them in some way, because there's some level of ownership or claim that can be laid to that woman. right? And so they don't see any responsibility to women as a community. They don't even see it's, and again, protection of those women is not about even, and people gonna be mad, but whatever, maybe not people in here, but it's not even about protecting those women. It's about, how dare you offend me by doing that woman that's attached to me that way. Right? And I tell y'all all the time that grape laws are based on property laws. Grape laws in the United States only exist. The foundation of them was because girls belonged to either their dad or their husband. And when they were raped, you have now violated the property. And so the law was based on the man is owed some sort of payment or recoupment for the damage that you have done to his property. Exactly, Glow. You have vandalized my property. And so men still hold these mindsets, and it's all subconscious. They don't even know that they're consciously doing it, right? They hold these mindsets that they're only that women behaving in public, because they are extensions of them, is a reflection on them, and that is, you have violated me. And so Ayesha, talking about her very personal experience, even though it's in the context of her marriage, never saying my husband wasn't shit, he didn't support me, he was an asshole, he was a jerk to me. She ain't saying none of that shit. All she said was, wow, I've reflected and realized that this was true for me in the context of my role as a wife and a mother. And because they see women as only extensions of them, now she has embarrassed him. Now she has violated him. And if he can be violated like that, and he has that level of wealth and power, then what does that mean for how women are going to engage with me? And so they are fighting tooth and nail to hold on to something that, let's be honest, BLK men are never going to fully have access to any the fuck way. Okay? Any the fuck way. But anyway, let me get off my pedestal. And do you have something that you want to add to this? And then I will come back to you. Okay. I know. Okay.
I love what you had to say, Tina.
Clock
Also,
it.
I'm gonna say I love what you said about, grape culture and in terms of women being seen as property. I don't think it was until 1969, around that time, that women even had laws. It was legal to actually be raped in your marriage. And one of the things I've been seeing online is somebody was talking about coercion, and I think I want to discuss that on my podcast because they were saying how many of us probably in high school were coerced into doing things with men that we didn't want to. And she was talking about rape specifically postpartum, for women postpartum. And I've been doing a lot of studies, right now, women's health and pregnancy related diseases. And a lot of women, she's like, a lot of women complain that, after giving birth, their husbands don't wait that necessary, 6 weeks to help them heal. And they coerce them into having sex early, 3 days. I even heard Jeannie Mai one time bragged about it. Yeah, we waited 3 days, and my husband, that's not okay. You gotta, wait for the woman to heal, and being able to be with a man who has enough self-control to be like, I respect her physically and her physical autonomy, to be like, allow her to heal. This person carried a child for me for 9 months. And so many men can't separate their partners and see them as human beings. Yeah, clock it, pink butterfly. That's what I'm saying. So it's like, I get that she's married and she is a mother, but that's not her only identity. And I think that for me, that's my fear of probably getting married, is getting lost in a person. I never want to do that again, because I felt like I lost myself in my last relationship, and we weren't even married. I just be all in, and this person gaslit me. Anytime I tried to do something, I'm selfish and I'm not contributing to us as a partnership. But what about contributing to myself as an individual? Somebody greatly put it in the comments, like, above all else, before becoming partners and friends, whatever that is, we were individuals, and we're allowed to individually grow, and things like that, and also participate in our partnerships. She didn't do anything to disrespect her husband. She was
That
just being a full human being. Yeah,
I'm
go ahead,
sorry.
Fifth House.
Oh, sorry. One thing. So it's very rarely that I do see people have eighth house placements that have to do with melding with somebody else in a relationship. And even then, from an astrological perspective, it's very rare that that is promoted. So I will say that. a lot of times when I'm looking at a woman's birth chart, a lot of the lessons that she has to learn before she can actually meet that person that embodies the archetype of the man that she's supposed to be with, or the individual that she's supposed to be with, a lot of it has to do with them standing within their individual identity, and them choosing themselves first, and them needing to put themselves first, them standing firm within who they are and understanding who they are, being able to properly express self-love to themselves, and being able to be kind to themselves. Those are a lot of the lessons that I'm seeing that women are having to learn, because and what that's telling me also is that it was never intended for women to be male-centered. It was never intended for women to center men to the extent at which we have been conditioned to do, and the way and to the extent that our parents have conditioned us to do. Nor was it ever meant for men to be the way that they are right now. There's and when I'm talking to men about lessons they have to learn before they can get into relationships, because I've now gained some male clients, straight male clients, weirdly enough, odd, crazy. Anywho, I don't know how that happened. But a lot of the conversations that I'm having with them is them learning to make space, them learning to be of service, them crazy wonky. Okay, so I say that to say that for women, we actually have to learn to know ourselves and discover ourselves, and be actively a part of that self-discovery journey every single day, even when you do get into a relationship, because at the end of the day, we came in here alone, we're going to leave alone to an extent. And then part of that too is, as we get older, libidos change. We change physically. What remains is who we are as individuals, our interest, our intellect, our minds, our hearts. And so we have to really be very much in tune with that, as women specifically, because if you don't know who you are outside of this man's desire for you, or this man's use for you, then that is a problem.
Yeah. And didn't you say that Ayesha's 35?
Yeah.
So on a psychological level, that is around, thank you all so much for the gifts. Thank you so much for the follows. That is around the age when you will start to have some of these conversations with yourself, and it's going to happen again. So she's going to be on this journey for quite some time, in general, around really kind of doing this reevaluation, especially because she was married so young. So people, especially if she's going to continue to talk about it publicly, people need to just get ready to be uncomfortable and just deal with it. You know what I mean? Or disengage. You also could just like not engage with what she's saying. You don't have to engage at all. But yeah, she's around that age anyway, where this would be happening. But you absolutely need to have an identity outside of your partner, you know? And to someone's, I don't remember who, I think it was Lady Evie that brought up Nick and Alandria and how there's so much pressure. I see a lot when I do see the content, right? Or like if Nick will go live, where's Alandria? Where's Alandria? Oh, why aren't they spending time together? Why aren't we getting up this? Why aren't we getting up that? And it's like, y'all can't even fathom the idea that she would exist outside of him, right? Like that feels like there's almost for some people a level of like, oh, this is not as valid, this is not as real, because she is existing outside of him. And there is this desire for her to be tethered to him, because somehow that makes the relationship more real. And I appreciate that, you know, she is an older woman, right? She was like 27, not like 22, 23 on the show. I appreciate that she was older, so she had already had some experiences in her 20s for herself, and that she's continuing to allow herself that opportunity, right? So that whatever happens in their relationship or any relationship after this, thank you so much, Anusha, that she has spent the time doing exactly what the fuck you should do as a 20-something. You know what I mean? Hi, Gigi. Please share your thoughts.
Hi. Sorry, I don't have a lot of thoughts. I just wanted to come up and say hello. And just wanted to let you know that I miss your lives. I've been a little MIA because, you know, life has been lifing. And also Battlefield 6 is out. So I've let Atreus go to Valhalla for now. But I just wanted to thank you and Big C for the gems that y'all were dropping earlier, because I saw y'all and I heard y'all and I just love like y'all are my favorite TikTok duo. So I just wanted to come up and show y'all some love. That's all. And I heard Ann up there too. Ann was up there spitting.
Cause John was
So
and
so I just want to come up
Thanks,
and
Gigi.
say this and show y'all some love, because I appreciate y'all. And now I'm gonna go back and drop into the comments because I'm still playing Battlefield and I'm trying to sober up. My daughter turned 16 yesterday, and my cousin and I thought it was brilliant to like have a drinking game between him and I, not her. She can't drink.
Wait a minute,
But
you're not going anywhere because we have to talk. I'm sorry. Hi, Tina. Hi, host. How you doing?
Janae, why you stay coming for me?
No,
Listen, I'm
because
still
hold
slightly
on.
inebriated. You can't do
Hold
this to
on.
me.
Pause. Okay, I need to say this to Gigi. Have you talked to Noelle?
No.
Okay, we'll discuss that later. Anyways, I'm gonna add to the topic. I'll stay on mute.
Janae just be doing stuff. Look here. Janae, don't do that to me. You know my anxiety is bad, and Tina is my therapist. I think this is a perfect space
I know, and that's
to
what
talk about this.
I'm telling Tina. Yes.
No, let me be clear. Tina is my TikTok therapist, okay? She's not my actual therapist. She is my TikTok therapist.
Tina, I really
She can't be y'all
followed
TikTok
you.
therapist because I don't share. She is not y'all therapist. She is my TikTok therapist. To be very, very clear, I need y'all to know this.
To you. We love you. I'm sorry. I thought I followed Tina because I love her lives. Apparently, I'm having some issue with TikTok. I really came up here because I love that you discuss different topics other than the Love Island parasocial. Thank you. But I did love your lives about, the whole episode 1 to ending of Love Island. Anyways, I did discuss this topic a week ago, and I'm glad you brought it up because I really like what Anne and Glow and all of you ladies were adding earlier on the panel, because I know my friends who are, I do have friends who are married, and they do have those same thoughts as Ayesha. There was a TikTok video that this man asked, what do you regret? What do you feel that you should have done in your 20s? Majority of them said that I regret that I got married young. I wish that I traveled the world. I wish I went back to school. I wish I did all these things. And when I saw that TikTok video, these are the same things Ayesha said, because men who have that red pill antidote, degrading him, dehumanizing her, saying that you're not allowed to have these thoughts. You need to keep your mouth shut. You need to stay behind for Stefan. But what is wrong with her having those thoughts? I feel as though that woman as a whole, even if we are becoming a mother, even if we are married, we need to have these honest thoughts, these honest truths, because this will actually push us and further us that it's not too late to live your dream. I literally saw Ayesha in a movie with Lindsay Lohan. Good for her. I hope she does more acting. Stefan loves her. He supports her behind those scenes. And when everybody talks about Ayesha, he says like, no, keep my wife's name out of your mouth. And that's what I like him for that. And I'm glad you are talking about this, because what Anne said is that even if you are in a relationship or not, I was in a relationship. I lost myself. I really lost myself. And when I left that relationship, I literally had to find myself. Ayesha is going through that. And I see that, and I hear her, and I hold her hand and tell her that, sweetie, you deserve to say how you feel. Every woman who is married in a relationship deserves to say this how I feel. And thank you for bringing this topic, because a lot of women have these thoughts. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Of course. Listen, I'm about to be on men's ass just for like a brief second, right? But like, this is why when I was on the panel again, I told y'all I was on a panel earlier today, just by happenstance. And one of the arguments that one of the men, I don't remember who, was making is like, well, when do women hold women accountable? And what I think that they don't understand is that part of what Ayesha is inviting into public discourse is a way for women to hold themselves accountable. She's saying, hey, I made this decision for myself. And now as I'm reflecting, I'm realizing maybe that's a little bit different than what I actually want right now today. Maybe that's a little bit different now that my daughter is 1 year old. I'm realizing, oh, I want something like that. Is a way to offer in a conversation around accountability and saying, oh, maybe I need to pause. If this woman who has all of this is saying that this has been her experience, what can I take from that? What can I learn from that? And instead of seeing it as an opportunity to to gain information and to use it as a way to then implement lessons into your own life around holding ourselves accountable around the choices that we are making. They want us to just shut the fuck up, right? And they're not seeing it for what it actually could be, right? And I think that I agree, user. Women in our 30s is such a pivotal and magical time for us, right? Like, you need to understand that once you get into your 30s, something really does shift in your brain. I used to joke around and say, oh, when I turn 30, I'm going to be like, I'm going to write one of those lists that's like 30 things I wish I knew before I turned 30, right? But like, truly something does click in your brain differently, and you begin to see things differently, and you do that journey for quite some time. And I think it's important for women, and this is why I'm a fan of gossip. Y'all know that, right? I'm a fan of gossip because it really does invite into the conversation. What are the things that I'm learning? What are the things that I'm gleaning so that we can pass it to the next generation? I do think that I'm extremely communal in that way. But I do think that there's something inherently beautiful to be done in community in that way with each other. And so I'm really, and again, I stand on what I say. I am 10 toes down on the fact that Ayesha did choose to align with the patriarchy in a lot of ways in those 20s, which is why she's getting a lot of the backlash she's getting. And we can do nuance, right? And we can say that what she's saying is actually really important to have discourse around as women so that we can make more informed choices, right? Because these are the things that women talk about that they whisper between each other, that they talk about on their coffee dates, that they, we do community with each other. So we're having these conversations in smaller sects and in smaller ways, but this is a way to invite it into a bigger platform, a bigger discussion. Listen, at some point, okay, I'm gonna give y'all my hot ass take, and then I'm
Wait, okay, give your take because I do have something I want to add to this. But go ahead, go.
At some point, we might hear even Sierra come out and talk about
say it.
We might hear Sierra at some point come out and talk about the amount of babies that they keep having every time she begins to do something.
Okay, so you clocked it. It's giving Ryan Reynolds. Okay, let me stop.
To move forward that career, and they're going to be pissed about that too, right? Okay. Because damn, girl, he picked you after you already had a baby. How could you? And now you're not great because she was supposed to be undesirable once she was a single mother, right? You got picked even after you had a baby, and now you mad because you had all these babies. You could have just not kept having his babies. You could have just, and so we might hear her have a reflection around that at some point, and that's going to piss them off too.
It's giving Ryan Reynolds always keeping Blake Lively pregnant. Let me not, okay? Let me not do. I'm trying to be, I might want to go to heaven just so I can square up with the certain people that think they're going to be there, but okay, let me chill. Now, with that being said, bro, we can't be serious. Are we the adults? We're the adults. Okay, cool. So you said something about, pivotal things happening in your 30s. When Ayesha Curry made that first statement about wanting to be desired by men, she was like 29, 30 years old. People need to understand a lot of things happen astrologically with women in their 30s. So first things first, 29 to 31 is your Saturn return. This is where you learn the lessons from the first half of your life. You take everything that you experience from the first half of your life, and then now you're going through the final of that season. And so the final of your youth is what I call it. So Saturn, the planet of structure, responsibility, and maturity, returns to the exact degree it occupied when you were born. It's the universe's first true performance review. Mind you, we get performance reviews and we broke. That's crazy. Let me stop. Let me stop. So this is where you encounter questions like, what systems in your life actually support your long-term stability? Where have you been outsourcing authority, avoiding limits, or living by default? If it's not punishment, it's just a recalibration. And then from there, you enter your 30s with a new plan versus how you lived your 20s and earlier. That's why you see a lot of women kind of shift and change after their 30s. And this happens usually 29 to 31. And also, 30 to 35 is your identity integration years. And people don't realize that either. So once Saturn builds the skeleton, you start fleshing it out. So the early 30s is about reconciling the self you've built versus the self that you actually are. And a lot of the self that you've built is not actually you building it. That's the self your parents built. That's the self your teachers built. That's the self that if you had a man, he contributed to that at the time. If you were in certain things, that's the self people that were in your life that had influence built. That's not actually who you are. And a lot of people don't realize that who you are, birth to 29, isn't really who you are. It's who you were taught to be. And now, during your Saturn return, you kind of begin the deconstruction process. 30 to 35 is true deconstruction and reconstruction. So, astrologically, you hit your progressed lunar return around 27 to 28, and again experience an emotional reset that carries into your early 30s. You start craving authenticity. That's why friendships tend to fall apart at this time. You don't want to hang out with the same people you used to hang out with. You don't want to do the same things you used to want to do anymore. Now you don't want to be a rock star anymore. You want to be a rich white woman, things like that. I'm just saying that you start looking at how you really want to live your life in the long term, and those things change. And then now you don't want to date the bad boy anymore. Now you want a finance bro with assets, and that all of that changes. Yes, yeah, get at me, Perpy. And then you start realizing what your internal rhythm is. And then anything performative begins to feel like it's heavy. Anything performative, you don't even want it anymore because it doesn't align with you anymore. Then 36 to 42. 36 to 42. This is when the Uranus opposition starts warming up. So this is the shake-up cycle that peaks around 40 to 42. It's less about crises and more about course correction. So Uranus reintroduces freedom where you've gotten too rigid. Many women change careers. That's when they say, I'm going to go back to school, because you know how we are in the Black community. I'm going to get me that 16th degree that I've been wanting to get. Am I calling you out?
Me fighting
I'm gonna work on my
every day to go get my PhD. Like
I'm gonna become a doctor. I'm gonna go to med school. Now I want to be a surgeon. I'm gonna go get my 30th degree and PhD, So that's when that happens. So some women change careers. They leave long-term relationships. So a man that you might have been with for 9 years, 10 years, that changes. Or you realize and if you noticed, when the pandemic started, a lot of the women that were bringing up weaponized incompetence in relationships, bringing up men, and not even talking about disentering men, but just how a lot of men weren't that great. They were 36, 35 plus. Why was that? It was a particular demographic. That's because they were leaving long-term relationships, realizing that what they wanted isn't what they got themselves into, wasn't what they actually wanted. It was what they were taught to want. So then they start getting rid of those things or reconsidering those things. They also reinvent their image. So that's why you saw a lot of women talking about reinvention, manifestation, getting a new, what were they doing? Rebranding yourselves. You saw a lot of women talking about that 35 to 42 area, not because they're lost, but because they've outgrown the earlier versions of themselves. So these are the things that happen in your 30s, leading into your 30s, getting into the later side of your 20s. Also, your Venus maturity arc happens between 28 and 33. So what does that mean? Again, that goes in line with your Uranus too, because transiting Venus in your progressed chart often shifts your relationship standards. So desire matures from who excites me to who regulates my nervous system. I don't want the passionate, angry fights, the making out, the arguing and getting back together and breaking up and getting back together, the throwing rocks at my window. Why are you doing that? That is so ghetto, sir. I don't want that anymore. I want the soft love. That's when all of that starts to change. So that's when boundaries, reciprocity, and capacity become love languages as well at that time. So your 30s is when you stop seeking permission. A lot of women stop seeking permission. They're realizing a lot of what they were doing had to do with seeking permission. And the chart transitions from being potential energy, which is what your 20s is, to realized design, which is what your 30s is. And this is why so many women describe this decade as both clarifying and confronting. You're finally running your own operating system. So that's what that is. I hope that makes sense.
It did. Yeah. I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me because just like on a personal level, I know that at 28 is when I could tell something was happening. Like I could tell something was shifting. And so that makes a shit ton of sense to me that like astrologically things are happening. Hi, Ilea. Hello. Yeah. So that again, yeah, I don't think that, and we can have the conversation. Absolutely. I'm happy to have the conversation around how, allegiance to patriarchy is detrimental to us as women. And I don't want us to get lost in the sauce and act like what Ayesha is saying is not important conversation for women to be having. This is the way we, again, pass the recipes. This is the way, again, that we invite things into the conversation so that our women moving forward, our young girls as they grow into women, are not having to learn the lessons in the same way that we've learned them, right? When my sister shared with y'all about her daughters, and she talked about that difference when she was their age, she was married with 3 kids. One of them is, traveling the world on a fucking cruise ship as a performer. One of them just published her first romance novel. One of them is, in college on his second, like they are doing things differently than she did, right? And so I think it's important for us to have these conversations so that they can be empowered to make different choices. And I think it's important to acknowledge that at least, as much as it's pissing people off, that is what Ayesha is inviting into the space. And she ain't saying nothing that's unusual.
No, I agree 100%. This was fun. I'm glad I came on. I normally would be trying to let me not get on her live. Let me just chill. But I do like watching your videos, and I always get some great talking points from you. You never miss. So I love that. And if you ever need my takes, just holler. Let me know. I'll get on a live with you. I love doing it.
Absolutely. Yes. Okay. I love y'all so much. Glow. If y'all don't follow Glow, click her face. Go ahead, follow.
Thank you.
Glow is that girl.
Thank you.
Yes, Glow be doing her thangy thing. Okay, and she be looking at all your little favorite pop culture people and reading their charts and telling you about the relationships. It's a lot of fun over there. And then. Oh, thank you, Mia. Wynn, welcome in. I'm so glad that you got to hang with us for your first time today. And yeah, y'all get them birth charts read.
You guys are funny. So I have to actually get off. I'm setting up my YouTube channel, so I need to start working on that. But you guys feel free to visit my page. Send me a message if you have any questions. But yeah, hey, DVDs and CDs. Hey, Janae, don't do that. Don't do that. That's not nice. Don't speak the birth chart man into my life. I'm so upset by that. If that man finds me, I'm gonna cry. Okay, let me get off before he does. You guys have a great day. Always a pleasure. If there's any birth charts you ever want me to look at, Tina, just send me a message. I will definitely do that for you.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Bye guys. Have a great night.
Okay, y'all. So yeah, I think this was a really rich conversation. I think it is very, very nuanced. I think that, people just need to let themselves have a little bit more space to breathe around this. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Raven. And not be so black and white about it, right? Hi, Christina. Hi, I am MT. Not be so black and white around it, right? And exactly. You know what I mean? Pink butterfly. Why are people assuming that Steph isn't okay with his wife speaking her honest truth? Because they wouldn't be, right? And this goes back to that projection piece, right? Yes, I'm going to go to user. Thank you so much. Always happy to hold space for y'all. Yeah, because they wouldn't. And so it is projection. Because again, it violates the rules, the unspoken rules of the patriarchy, and the social rules that we have all ascribed to as a culture here in the United States, and that is frustrating to them. Because if you're not following the rules, and again, if you're not following the rules and you have all of this fame and this success, how am I supposed to achieve it when I'm following these rules? What's the playbook then, right? And so then they're frustrated and they're angry and they project, right? And again, because a lot of them having that conversation just do not see women as autonomous beings. You are only an extension of your partner, right? You are there in service of your partner, and that is it, right? Exactly. Same thing for Jada. Same thing for Ayesha, right? They are talking about them in the same exact way, and it's unfortunate because they could be. Anyway, don't get me started. But they could be using their time more effectively. I will say that. Okay. I love y'all so much. I don't know if y'all saw Lynn in here, as told by Ginger is her handle. I know that she'll be live again tonight at 7:30. And so I actually don't know what time zone she's in though. So I don't know if that's in a half an hour or in an hour and a half. I have no idea. But she will be live later today. She does debate talks, and they're very well moderated and structured. So that might be a fun one for you to go hang out in as well. But I love y'all. I will see you again later this week, definitely at nighttime this week. But yeah, always enjoy y'all. Have a great rest of your Sunday. And thank you, Breezy. As told by Ginger I will share it to my story, Breezy. When she goes live, I'll share it to my story. If you want to just watch my story. Because I don't know what her @ is. I think it's Locked by Lynn. LOCEDBYLYNNE. I think that's what it is, but I'll share it to my story. Okay. Bye, y'all. Have a good night. Have a good Sunday.